Here we are.
Hey.
People, they say wear a mask. They say wear a mask when you're out, wear a mask when you're indoors. But they didn't say wear a mask in your own home. But by God, Fred Tatasciore takes it another step.
That's right. I don't know where this mic has been. I don't know anything.
I don't know where I've been.
And I got, you can see the breathing. I need gills.
I don't know where this internet's been.
Exactly. This internet is dirty.
This internet is filthy. I did a Google search about masks, and oh my God.
They make you sick.
Yeah.
Now, can I see? Okay.
Well, we can see your glasses. We can see that you wear the...
I
There it is.
Walk down the street like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I don't feel the COVID.
I hear the vision.
Woo!
Hello, everybody. Hello,
Ladies and
America.
gentlemen, this is Fred Tatasciore. In case you cannot see the name, but it's right there.
And one of my favorite people.
One of my favorite people. Let's see. Fred is the person I've known the longest in voiceover in Los Angeles, because when I signed with Pat Brady, the reason I have a career, may she live forever.
Ladies and gentlemen, Pat Brady.
Come on down, Pat Brady. Pat Brady, ladies and gentlemen, Pat Brady. Oh, she's gone. She's on a cruise. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Fred Tatasciore will do just fine.
Hi. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, when I signed with Pat Brady at KSA, Kazarian Spencer and Associates, back in April of 2000, she signed me as a client, and you were the first person I met. Oh, this is Fred. He's one of my clients, too. Fred's doing really well, and you were already working. And my very first job in SAG, I was SAG eligible from 95, doing my under 5-line appearance on Sequest DSV on NBC. A lot of you may know about that show. But I basically got into SAG because Pat, once she signed me, picked up a phone. Well, first thing she did was say, can you do Michael Rappaport? Can you impersonate Michael Rappaport? Because I'd done all these voices on the demo tape. And she said, can you do him? I said, yeah, I think so. She goes, all right, here, look. She put in a VCR tape of The Pallbearer with David Schwimmer and Michael Rappaport, played a scene with Michael Rappaport in it, and I had to imitate him right there to Pat, and she goes, yeah, that sounds pretty good. She picks up a phone and says, yeah, hey, it's Pat. Okay, I got your Michael Rappaport. Yep, he'll be there tomorrow. All right, you're in the union. It was like 1930s Hollywood. Yeah, he's in. Click. You're in, kid. And you were David Schwimmer.
That's right.
You voice matched David Schwimmer,
right.
and I voice matched Michael Rappaport. So if you guys ever see a cable cut or a regular TV cut on a plane, if it's 2002 and you're on a plane.
Yes.
Yes, I voice matched Michael Rappaport, probably the most popular guy on Cameo right now, because all he does is do these Cameo videos and is hysterical. And you were doing a dead-on David Schwimmer.
Gosh, thanks. I can't even. That's so amazing. A long time ago. Wow. Yeah, that's right. I remember.
April of 2000.
Oh, man.
I know.
So cool.
So 20 years.
You were actually one of my first. You and I came up together. You were my first pal, too, actually. And it really, thinking back, because I don't know if I'd been working that long. I'd been part of KSA for a minute, but I wasn't like a regular on, I was just starting to get on shows,
Right.
You know how it is.
Yeah. Well, I remember I was still a comic on the road. And so I was still doing, back in 2000, I was still doing, 20 weeks a year, something like that. If I were to find one of my old books, just enough to be able to pay to live in LA and be around for auditions. And it took me until 2002 to where I could make a living from voice acting. And it had been 2 years, and I had worked a little, but I asked Pat, I said, am I working enough? She goes, you're fine. Don't worry about it. Look, it takes time. Fred couldn't get arrested for 6 months. And I said, only 6 months. And then took off. It took me 2 years.
It takes, and then it dry. You get seasons. You get little highs and lows.
You get blips. Yeah.
I love that Rappaport story. Hey, I got a kid here.
He's here. Okay,
make
boom.
hundreds of dollars and be the richest man in the city.
Well, I remember the union rate back then was $556. To join the union was $1,100. It was always twice what it was to work. And I thought, I'm going to lose money. I don't know if I can afford to join the union.
That was the thing. I know.
Yeah, I had to come up with the other 556, but then I was in. And then you start, you just gradually make it.
You are, now you're living the dream that I wish I love so much is The Simpsons. You are doing this wonderful job that I love that show, and I rejoice every time I think I hear your voice.
Thank you. Believe me.
Like, it got through.
Yes!
It is.
He made it. It's
a victory for me. I'm not kidding you.
I know. No, I know it's very abstract. I don't want to compare this to anything in real life, but it's like we're storming a beach together, and we're just getting cut down in waves. Exactly. And you see somebody planted a flag 50 yards up. Yeah. Somebody made it.
Someone made it in cartoon land.
What's it like up there? It's like, it's awesome. Nobody's shooting at you anymore. I'll be right there.
Exactly. Don't worry. Didn't you hear the wars of...
Yeah. Son of a bitch. Well,
stay with me.
But everybody has something like that. Everybody has I talked to Nolan about this. I had Nolan North on, and I said everyone has a golden goose. Everyone has a gig that is, sometimes they don't know it until their career is over. But it is, wait, that might be Nolan. It's like, are you bringing up my name, motherfucker? Don't even try.
I'll cut you.
Yeah, I'll cut you from here. All right? I see Fred with his mask on. He won't see me coming.
Yeah,
He's going to let that ring through. I don't know who that is.
Don't be surprised. He's very fast.
Yeah. I said everyone's got a golden goose. Everyone has the best job they'll ever have. For some people, it's one job. It lasted one day, and they made good money for that day. For some people, it's one day, but they get paid residuals for years. For some people, it's a job that just continuously hires them like this. For me, I am smart enough to know, although I'd have to take an absolute idiot not to see, that The Simpsons is the greatest job I'm ever going to have. I mean, I'm on season 11. It's the greatest job I'm ever going to have. It's the greatest job most people would ever have. I'm not special. I'm just saying that I was lucky enough to have a very specific skill set that show values.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And then just to kind of inform the folks listening too, is because I've seen you go through the whole process. You're the guy who really knows how to take the lumps and take. I
took a few.
You are really good at that. In fact, you are one of the inspirations for me to know like how to take, like, behave. how to deal.
How to take a bunch of shit. Nobody takes a bunch of shit like Edgerly does.
We comedians. No, it's true though. I don't mean that in anything bad. It's interesting. Like there's a lot of stuff you have to go through sometimes, not always. Yeah. But to get there, you have been wanting to do this and working on this stuff for years. Before you didn't just show up. You didn't go. Yeah. Well, what show is this? Oh, yeah. I suppose I got to do a character. Sometimes that's a thing.
Yeah, sometimes it is. Yeah,
this was play this Darth Vader. I don't know who he is. Whatever. It's
exactly. Well, I remember, and with Nolan knew immediately. He says, for me, it's obviously Drake. It's Nathan Drake. It's Drake's Fortune, and he's had a lot of wonderful jobs. But doing the Uncharted games, he's done, I think, 4 of them. And 4 or 5, I can't remember.
I want to say there's more, but yeah.
Yeah, but those, those have been great.
Standout character.
Standout character, yeah.
And what he did with it.
Right.
Was so great.
Right.
And what they did.
Yeah. Now, for some people, it might not be, like, they may not be able to pick. Maybe some jobs are on the same level. In which case, the tiebreaker for me would be, how much fun did you have doing it? And for some people, it's, yeah, geez, this one paid about as well as any other job, but I couldn't wait to get there, and I hated to leave. I mean, I've had a lot of jobs like that. Yes. But everybody, you look back, it's really almost something for posterity, but you look back and you say, those were the halcyon days there. And if you're lucky, they last for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I was talking to Steve Bloom about that too. Like, for he and I, and not to speak for him, but
yeah.
There wasn't the one thing, right. We all want the, oh God, it'd be great to do a, Simpsons or Futurama or SpongeBob or we just keep working, so,
yes.
So sessions become like that.
Uh-huh.
And I realized it, and this sounds like the Marines, it's not an army. It's not a job. It's a career kind of thing. You realize that, no, your career is the ongoing thing. The jobs will come and go.
Yeah.
And you'll lose them. You'll gain them. And I've always wished I had the like, hey, I'm on this thing, you know. And it's like I'm grateful. I've been on a few things, and sometimes they let me in on big things, you know. But it to me, it's just sort of been like an ongoing, like, we have a couple of seasons for a show, and we have a great cast.
Yeah,
it's the best. And then that goes away, you know. So we're constantly in fluid. I have not had anything that just maybe a couple of characters that I've been allowed to be with.
The Hulk.
The Hulk. I was allowed to. They let me stay in his green feet for a long time. You know? And there were many before me. And there will be many after me. You know what I mean? It's just that when you're on a rented space, when you do iconic characters, you know, and like right now, I've done a few versions of Looney Tunes, you know, and now I'm Yosemite Sam, and Tasmanian Devil, and Gossamer, the big orange guy, and a few others, and that's like living a childhood dream with these great casts.
Well,
and the cast keeps changing,
but,
you know what I mean, like, but it's such a blast, you know, and
believe me,
able to stay with it.
I tell you, they said your buggy is gonna go the way of the dinosaur, and you're gonna drive a car, and I ran him off my property with a shovel.
I love
Thank you.
I just love that.
Yeah, but
you are so cool.
You grow up with Looney Tunes. You grow up with Looney Tunes. I grew up watching Tasmanian Devil, doing my own impression of Tasmanian. Yeah. And then when you finally get to read for it, and I read for it, everyone read for it, and you feel like I did a pretty good one, and you don't book it, and you realize it must have been a really, really good Tasmanian Devil, and then I find out, well, Fred's got it. It's like, well, of course. That's who could do a better Tasmanian Devil, of course.
Well, there are many. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing. We have so many, but thank you for that. You know what I mean? Like, you realize, like, some of these guys that, Eric Bauza was talking about, like, all the different people who've been Bugs Bunny.
Isn't he 2 Looney Tunes right now? Isn't he Daffy and Bugs?
Yes.
Yeah. That's insane.
He's a lot of Looney Tunes. He's Mel Blanc insane. At this point, you know.
Yeah.
He really is.
Yeah.
But we were talking about that and just how it's I'll appreciate Jim Cummings and Maurice LaMarche, who did these characters before me, or Billy West, or and you realize, no, you guys nailed it in my mind, and it just like we just keep turning over, it's like, and then someone else, and it happens. I mean, I like the idea that sometimes you can stay with the character for a long time, and you hope to, but there's always reinventions. And that's it's a hard pill to swallow. When I saw projects, believe me, when I saw projects go out and it wasn't me being Hulk or something, I was like, well, I call it the Incredible Sulk. And you're just like, what?
Don't put me on the ice floe just yet and push me out to sea.
What did I do wrong? Well, you're just and people have their minds made up about you. Oh, you're the nice Hulk, or you're scary, or you're, like the idea that you couldn't possibly change,
Yeah. I am an actor.
I know.
You're not our kind of actor. Sorry.
I'm tired. I want something different. And that's really their prerogative.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too, is you realize, oh, okay. I mean, most of the parts I've gotten, if someone did them before me, it's because they wanted to stop. You know what I mean? Because it was just physically exhausting.
Yeah.
It's really hard to do that voice for a long time.
Yeah. There are certain
and Maurice LaMarche was my hero. One of my heroes. He just was like blessing. He said, it wasn't how dare you? It wasn't that. It was. Yeah. And it's nice to know when you didn't take it, or you know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Right, exactly. And I've had this conversation with other voice actors too. Sometimes you get a job because somebody else either gave it up or was replaced, and it doesn't really occur to you that will happen to you. And I told a friend this too. I think I told somebody I was just interviewing that I was Hellsberg Diamonds, for a year or two. And I thought, yeah, all right, I'm voice of Hellsberg Diamonds. And then one day they said, okay, here's your release letter, or whatever they call it, and you thought, oh, okay. And then I was at an audition, ran into a friend, and he said, I'm Hellsberg Diamonds now. And I said, that's great. And then in the meantime, I'm thinking, okay, well, at least I know who it went to, and good for him.
Yeah, good for him. That's happened to me so many times. So many times with characters, both sides. Either I played something someone had done, or someone's taken it over from me, and you go, congratulations, no, run with it, you're gonna be great. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, but it does. It's happened so many times, and it happens a lot with that. You're talking about ads,
ad campaigns.
Yeah, someone just reinvents the whole thing. We got a new group.
Yeah,
I got hired back once where someone said, they kind of got rid of the whole campaign. This was for Subway years ago, and Peter Verano goes, "Can you do this voice? That's you, isn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I can do that." And so it was like a whole. It was very weird.
Yeah,
it was very funny.
Well, that's the thing. Looking at your CV, as they say, your IMDb, there are too many credits to. Yeah.
Hold on.
You want to cover that?
My math.
This is Twitch.
So
by
CV
God, we have standards. On your IMDb, you have so many different credits. It's hard to pull one or two out. But one that I couldn't scroll down far enough to find it, but I know it's there. It was when I was watching the movie Frozen with my kids, and I said, "That monster sounds pretty familiar." It's like, "Yep, that's Fred."
That one is. I have to figure. I've done tons of voices on that,
right?
And then I had done the voices, but I'm not sure. I think that one in particular, I have to figure out. It sounds like me. I know I did some voices. It might be.
No, it's you. It's the big abominable snowman that they have to fight outside the castle and all that. Yeah, that's
you. Know what I mean? Sometimes you throw things to the wall. It happens with a lot of films where you're like throw things in the wall and you don't know what's stuck. And
right.
You find out later when you see the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And with Star Wars a lot. We do.
Yes,
like 10 of us will do. A creature, and then you find out, oh, that one got through. Okay.
Yes. Like we did, okay, folks, when Disney opens back up responsibly, I don't know, are they open right now, Disneyland?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know either. Yeah, me neither.
I'm not sure. I hope it opens soon.
Yeah, Donald has a cough.
I don't feel so good. I don't. Excuse me, I'm so... Oh, my God.
Sorry. Anyway.
Say, Donald, maybe you shouldn't have gone to that rave in Ibiza.
Shut up. Where's my marijuana?
Say, hey, don't bogart that hash pipe. Oh, we're going to get so sued.
We're gonna get in so much trouble. Sorry.
Hey,
sorry, everybody.
What's that knocking at my door? Yeah. It's.
I love those characters. I hope it all works out there.
Yeah, we get the benefit of knowing the guys who do those characters.
Exactly.
But yeah.
Awesome.
But at Disney, it was you, it was me, it was Joe Hanna, it was Vanessa Marshall, a few other people. We all went and we did voices for Star Tours. And it was just, okay, you up next, and then we just rotate. Everybody does a bunch of random things. Yeah, and you don't know who you're going to be, if they're going to use you, till you stand in line on the ride and you go, okay, that's me up there in the rafters, that guy talking to that worker there, and that's okay.
That's exactly right. And you won't get off, not on that, you won't get credited, but I'm just saying a lot of times, You don't even know. You've got someone will say, "You did the thing." I'm like, I'll listen to it later. Like, yeah, okay, that was me.
Yeah, for me, it is always wonderful to hear your voice in a project that is airing on TV or streaming somewhere, because that's always going to be out there. It's always going to be out there somewhere. Yeah. But to me, and again, this is just coming from my childhood. I grew up going to Disney World in Orlando. So we would go there once a year, and we would have the best time. You'd be on those rides. You'd hear those voices. You'd see the characters in the movies and on TV, the wonderful world of Disney. And then when you actually get to be a voice on a ride, to me, that is a very, very special place for me. To know that there are kids coming into a park, and there's a little 5-6-year-old kid, and he's going to hear Timothy the Mouse telling him to keep his hands and arms and legs inside the ride at all times.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. They're gonna sue me just for saying that, probably. All right. Disney's gonna.
I know. We got to be careful here. Get the right name of the guy who did the voice for Frozen, and we will take back all of the cuss words. No, we did. I know. My big voice print for me when I was a kid was The Haunted Mansion. And that Paul Frees voice, I was so heartbroken I didn't get to do the pirate ride, but our beautiful friend Kiff got to be the pirate.
I got to have Kiff on. Kiff Vanden Heuvel. He's all over the place, too.
Just such a brilliant, he's like you. He's a great improv guy. He's just, can't say enough cool stuff about him.
Yeah.
But I remember, and Corey Burton, again, the Paul Frees, I remember as a kid hearing that voice in the haunted house, the haunted mansion, and just being like, my imagination was just pulled.
Yes.
Yeah. There you are. Like that wonderful, and that kind of like you could be scary and funny at the same time.
Yeah.
Like it was like really interesting.
You begin to learn later as you get older, especially as you get into the business. You trod the same boards, you go to the same studios, you use the same microphone sometimes that they used. You sit on the same couch in the waiting room, and you start to realize, oh, well, these were just people. No, they're not just people. They couldn't have been, because when you're growing up, it's this magical voice. And yeah.
That's why for a while, I think even for our generation, they weren't crazy about showing the people doing the voices, because it really threw people off seeing a 30-year-old guy doing Mickey or 40-year-old, like whatever.
I could understand that.
Now there's such an interest in the art of voice acting that people, young kids, appreciate it. They're like, no, do it. Like, okay, I love Jess Sarnell's story about where, I'm on the Animaniacs, man. The kid was like, well, do it. Hey, you're doing, I'm your uncle. It's like, no, you're not. And just felt compelled to be like, no, man, it's me. Like, hey, it's really, no.
And then finally they had to pull Jess off him. Listen, you get it.
Very out of character.
This may end up happening to you with your little one. Remy is going to be 9 and Violet is going to be 7 in about a week or so. And they've both auditioned for stuff.
So you all are all in the same birthday. Sorry.
Yeah, not quite.
Okay.
Not quite.
You're coming up.
Remy is August 4th. I'm August 6th. And Violet is August 12th.
Okay.
So my birthday vanishes in between the magnetic force of both of theirs. Mine is just like a federal holiday at this point.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
nobody knows. Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, Dad's did something. Yeah.
Z is August 12th too.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, nice.
So it's nice.
Well,
so yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, Remy has done some work as a voice actor, and he's gotten to actually see a show and hear his name on it, and he's heard Dad's names on a lot of things, or he's heard Dad's voice on a lot of things, and so now he's gotten to the point where it's a job. It's a wonderful, magical job to him, the same way as it is to me. Yeah. But just for fun, the other day, they had they had been talking about this anime show on Netflix that they wanted to watch. And they said, oh, yeah, it's Ultraman. I really want to watch Ultraman, because he had seen a trailer for it. And I thought, oh, do they? Well, I'd worked on it, and I was like a detective on it. It was just a sort of a straight up, regular older male voice. And I thought, I don't really know if that's appropriate for them to watch, but and I didn't tell them I'd worked on it. And so I sat them down, and we start watching a minute or two of it. And they're like, oh, wow, this is so cool. And then they noticed a couple of the episodes had already been watched. And they said, who's been watching this show? And I said, oh, well, let me turn on the episode and find it. And I got to a point right where my character started to speak. And so they're busy watching. And then they hear Dad's voice come out of this character. My son goes, oh, that's you. And that was it. That was his reaction. It wasn't, oh, my God. No, not at this point.
Oh,
no, it was, you worked on that. Okay, yeah.
That was good. No,
8.
You made some good choices. Dad.
8. I thought
you were phoned in a little bit, but
yeah,
you dialed it in.
Lip flap was a little off there, but you use what you got, right? Okay, yeah.
That's so funny.
So yeah, now I realize that I don't think I can impress my son anymore. I think fine. He's just So, oh yeah, no, it was good, Dad. It was good. Yeah, didn't take long.
No, I know that is shocking. Yeah, a couple other friends, I think it was Tom Kenny or whoever it was, that was reading to the kids, and they're just like, Dad, don't do the voice. Don't just read it.
Yeah. Oh, but your kids must love you reading stories to them all the time. It's
you're not.
Yeah, it's like, guys, I got to be honest. I hardly ever read stories to my kids, and I'll do a voice every now and then for fun, and every now and then they'll go, wow, okay, so I can still sort of surprise them, but unless it was, like something that they really had to see, and they're surprised to find out I'm in it. Yeah, I think I'm past the point of taking them off guard.
You're not Dumbledore, okay?
Yeah.
No, that's you'll as they get older, they might see how you do some great impressions, and they'll see like sort of where that goes.
Yeah, at a certain point, as their cultural frame of reference broadens, they'll see, oh, Dad can sound like other people. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
yeah. Nico on the stream. Good eye. I usually forget to do stuff like this, but yes, I've set the topic on my stream to just chatting. So yeah. Because right now it was set to Apex Legends, which is the game I'm kind of known for at the moment, and people come by and they probably expect to see Apex Legends, and then they see he's just talking, and then they move on. So now if I just put it in just chatting, it's.
I want to see if we were on Ultraman together. In terms of what you were a detective.
I was a detective who's trying to find out who this weird alien is who's running around. So who are you in Ultraman?
I was Ultraman. I was actually the.
Oh, you're
the
Ultraman.
Yeah, the old guy. No,
nice.
the older, the dad.
Okay.
No, but I'm just saying it. This is what's very funny too about our jobs is that we will have worked on a bunch of things together, video games or films, and and definitely television. Where, I didn't realize we were in a scene together.
Yeah.
I mean, yes. I mean, Hedon, I'm always aware of because
Yes, of course.
Yes,
I was always getting called out for not pronouncing Kakuzu correctly by the fans.
Damn it, Hedon. Shut up already.
Yeah, if we were ever to cosplay, I guess that's who we would probably cosplay.
That would be a fun. Oh man, I love those characters. They are the coolest. It's like it's a great buddy movie of. It's like it's a couple of dangerous hitmen.
Dangerous, despicable hitmen. One of them utterly depraved and whines like a little bitch all the time.
Yeah, you're insane.
Yeah, absolutely
and
insane.
I'm made up of a bunch of creatures.
Yeah, a bunch of vines or something that come out of your body. It's just really weird.
Faces, masks.
Yeah.
It's
that anime. Yeah, I don't know about you, but I had never seen Naruto, and I'm busy laying down the voice for a character of it, and they're showing me scenes, and I said, what's this going to air on? And they said, Disney XD. I said, has Disney watched this? They said, I don't think they have. It only lasted about a year on Disney XD, and then I think it went somewhere else because they realized, I don't think we should have ritual sacrifice on the show. I think it's probably not good to see blood spatters.
But it's all right, just a little bit.
Now, Mickey, I said I need 4 chicken heads.
I want those chicken heads tomorrow. Yeah.
There's so many ways that we have crossed paths, and not always in the same studio at the same time. But then there are the times, like we got to do that Frozen TV Lego special, where they said,
"And you were funny."
As were you. This is one of those times where they said, "All right, we're not going to audition this. Just get Fred and Chris in, and because we know they'll be fun." And that's what that was. It was they let us ad lib a little bit, and
Dude.
I mean they animated it really quickly because it was They don't have to worry about voice syncing as much with Lego, but yeah. It was, that was one of those times where I thought, okay, this is what I remember. It's like sitting in the same room, chatting, having fun, and they're recording it.
That was the most fun. That was so much fun. You were just like, one joke, one liner after another. It was just, I was dying.
Oh, same. That was what was so fun about it is because what a lot of people don't get to see, and nobody gets to see it right now, is typically at a voice acting agency, at least this ship is just about sailed because of everyone's home setup, even before the pandemic. But in the old days, they'd call you in, and you'd sit, you'd get your copy, and you'd wait your turn. And you can't just put 10 performers in a room and not expect the air to be filled with utter insanity. Yeah. So you, me, Quentin Flynn, Nolan North, John Mariano, Phil Tanzini, and more, just sitting there. Obviously, we were past looking at our copy. I tend to look at my copy like this. Okay.
Yeah, you are a very quick study.
I don't like to
a lot
overdo
of
it.
cold reads.
I love cold reads.
Yeah, I noticed that. You're very. Some people are married to that script and have to make notes and do every little thing.
It's just my thing, you know.
I know everyone's different.
Right.
I tend to mark up a script a lot.
That's fine. It clearly works. But yeah, if I walked in the room and I saw you and Nolan and Mariano and Flynn and Tanzini, I would look at my script even less. I would pick it up and go,
no.
Okay. Sometimes I would just say, it's not even highlighted that much. That'll be fine. I'll figure that out. Okay, so Jean is asking what's a cold read. A cold read is pretty much looking at a script for the first time and reading it as a take, as an audition. So a lot of people would take their scripts, and I do advise it. Take your script, get used to it, get warmed up with it. I don't like to do that much. I will give it one read, and that's about it, because it's just how my brain kind of processes information. I do it pretty quickly. If it's animation and it's a real character and there's a big breakdown for that character, a lot of description, I'll service that. I'll read it. I'll really get an idea of context. But if it's commercial copy, a lot of times it works much better for me to just dash it right off. My rhythm fits.
Yes.
But for animation, it's different.
That's a very good lesson right there, is knowing your wheelhouse and knowing, not saying you have to always stick to that.
Yeah.
But you know that about yourself. You know that you're quick on your feet. You know that, like, you process information quick. You know, there's some other people that might be there. We have friends that are dyslexic that will memorize the copy, and they're reading,
disclaimers.
Some assembly required, batteries not included.
Yeah.
Because they've got it locked in their head now, but they can't read it.
Right.
It's a very interesting.
Yeah.
Everyone has to do their sort of process on
Yeah, exactly. What Civ-Headed is one of my mods. He's asking, do you think a lot of your cold reading comes from The Simpsons? Actually, it predates that. There is a lot of cold reading on a show like that, not just The Simpsons, but any show, because you'll do table reads. And for a table read, you do get your script in advance, but a lot of it is performing in the moment. You have to be up for that. You've done a lot of table reads.
Oh, yeah.
And table reads is just when you get the cast together and you get a bunch of producers and writers and other people that may work on the show and guests to sit around in a room and listen to them read the script out loud, because then they can hear the jokes. They can hear the performances.
Hear what they wrote.
Yeah.
They can hear. They want to hear how it flows. They want to hear, like, is this working? Is this hook up even with that voice? And in your case, you're not only doing voices on the show, but you are you're doing not scratch, you're doing the table read for all the other voices, so they can hear what Mo would say and how he would say it.
Right.
And that's, the table reads are vital for people.
Very important, because you could do a table read for a script, and again, this is not for any one show. This is for any show. This can happen. You can do a table read on, say, Wednesday, and then by Monday you might come in and record, or Tuesday, or whatever day that show records, and realize that they changed a lot. It's like, well, were you at the read? A lot of that stuff needed to get changed. Sometimes you come in, nothing is different. It's like everything worked, but that read was vital, like you said.
It's so interesting, and where you see that a lot is in films. I'll be a scratch artist. A scratch artist sounds really good. I scratch for the best of them. Scratch meaning I'm doing the voice ahead so the animators can lock it in.
Right.
And the professional actor, the person who can actually
the beautiful person,
the important celebrity comes in. And what they do is then they're just seeing what works. You're not necessarily giving the celebrity a line read. You're just trying to see what works for them. But I can't tell you how many times we started with one film, one script, and it was radically. Toy Story is a completely different movie by the time they actually, but it's after they get through development. So you've gone through many iterations of a movie before it gets done.
So much of what we do is glamourless. To us, to me, it's very glamorous, because if I get to drive onto a studio lot, again, this is from days in the past where that's not happening so much right now, but whenever I got to drive onto a lot, I felt like I had won. I was winning. It's like they're letting me inside these walls, because a studio lot is not just open for the public. They have walls, they have guard gates, and you get to go in. and you get a parking spot, and then you get to walk into an air-conditioned studio where other famous people have walked in and performed and recorded. And you were there to help them sort out a movie that either is 1-2 months away from seeing a theater, or it is an animated feature that is 3 years away, and they're still working it out. They're still trying to figure out where they're going to go with it. And I remember for Disney, I had gone in and I did 1 day of work, and it was based on a voice match I did of Nicolas Cage. So Nicolas Cage was going to be the lead for this animated film, and he was a dog. And that's all we did was just, I did sort of a Nicolas Cage read for a dog, and just, there were highs and lows, so that's what we did. And, not quite that cartoonish, but so we spent a day doing that. And I asked one of the directors, I said, what does the dog look like? And he goes, oh, he looks like this. And he whips up a quick picture of it. And I said, did I just have a Disney animator draw me a picture? And I said, could you sign this? He goes, sure. And he signs it. And I said, I'm going to take this home. And I start to fold it. And he goes, don't fold it. Because I said, I'm going to frame this. And he said, well, don't fold it. It's going to have a crease in it. So he took a book and he just put it in the pages so it stayed flat. And I took it home and I framed it. And the movie came out a few years later, and the movie was called Bolt, and it was with John Travolta. So Nick Cage went away, I guess, just said, I don't want to do a movie, or whatever reason. He ended up doing something else. And John Travolta starred in it. And if you notice, the dog has a certain look to him, and I have the caricature of that animator. And I think his name was Chris Sanders, and I think he also directed, what was it? Lilo and Stitch, I think he was one of the directors on that. Anyways, he's a super great guy. And it was just, to this day, I have as one of my tchotchkes from the biz, I have a framed drawing from a Disney director on my wall.
That's such a big deal.
Yeah, to me, that's everything. Yeah. That's stardust. And we work on tons of projects like that where later on it comes out and it's like, where are you in there? I'm kind of buried. I'm in there, but.
Yeah, I know. It was a big thing for me to work on a SpongeBob, and sing a song and, get a picture from Steven Hillenburg before, this is like right at the end there, and I didn't know. I mean, I was so honored and starstruck, because I love that work. I love his work. I love the animation he did. And, it meant a lot to me.
Well,
and yeah.
Is there a film that sticks out in your mind that you're allowed to talk about? Like, I worked on one recently, and it was the first ADR job I did. That's automated dialogue replacement. We just call it ADR. That's when you are basically matching what is happening on screen and you're replacing someone's dialogue because the audio didn't work out that day, or they're changing the line, and either the star cannot come back in and it just isn't going to, and you're going to be the match, or they're placeholding it until the star can come back in. So I worked on a very large project that I cannot talk about. But
right now? Oh, recently. Okay.
Yeah, recently, because it was my first pandemic job doing ADR. It was right out of that booth there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I can't reveal any details. No. When it comes out, I can talk about it, and that'll be that. Yeah. But yeah, I was matching somebody who is, quite well known. And to me, that's another one of those things where I'm just thinking, this is so much fun. This will never get old. My getting to be a part of something that's going to be massive. Do you have, because there's been plenty of those for you, is there one that sticks out in your mind that you thought, I would never have imagined I would be here doing this for this person?
My first job, one of my first jobs, there's a few of those. Okay. One that comes to mind because it kind of makes me laugh, and I'm kind of proud of it from an ADR perspective, was Gladiator. That was really my first really big, and I got to do a lot of voices in that thing.
Okay.
Really big, speeches. You will be fighting for the Emperor. Do not turn your back on him. And then we who are about to die salute you. All of those. And half the time I'm replacing them mainly because there were dialect issues. Sometimes when they shoot, there are times though where I think the dialect is good. I'm like, why do you want to replace, who is Scottish?
I've done that. I've walked in. I know. I've walked into a job and I'm thinking, well, I'm already got the job, but I can't help. It's like that guy sounds really good.
I know.
It's like I'm happy to replace him, but he sounds great.
I know it happens sometimes, and you don't want to be that guy, but you just want to be like, what am I doing? What do you need? Then I'll actually say, this sounds great. What do you want differently? Usually it has to do with, we need to just flatten the accent a little bit, or again, like you say, the audio, or we've changed the line, or the actor didn't want to say the line.
I did that. I did that for, let's see. Miami Vice, the movie.
Yes.
Michael Mann, who's one of my favorite directors of all time.
So good.
Loves to tinker with dialogue even after it's been shot. And they said, okay, you're voice matching Colin Farrell for this, because I had voice matched. I got in the audition and all that. They said, he just wants to hear how certain words sound in this sentence. And it wasn't a major change. He just wanted to see if it sounded better. So I was doing Colin Farrell for that movie. He's basically doing his American accent. But otherwise, he's Colin Farrell, And I did 6 days of that. And as we're getting, on like the 5th day, which is happening over a period of weeks, they said, this movie's going to be released soon, And Michael was off working on something else. He was just sending in, notes. And they said, and the poor engineer's like, this movie's got a goddamn release date, man. I don't know if we're going to make it. And meanwhile, I'm replacing other words here and there. And finally, the movie was released. But the last day I was there, I actually briefly in passing, Michael Mann was leaving. And he says, you've been doing a good job for me. And he shook my hand. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm never going to wash this hand. This hand directed Heat. And less of the Mohicans and the Insider. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And name it. I mean, Yeah. Manhunter. What was another one? There's a few.
Manhunter I loved. Yeah, no, he's done a lot of stuff.
I worked and I think actually the same ADR folks that had worked on Gladiator worked on that. I'm not kidding.
Oh, really?
I remember seeing them. Yeah, but that's it's very they're really.
But for you, I remember you and I working on quite a few things together. But I remember finding out later, when I would read for something and I didn't get it and you had done a different part in it. Like I remember reading for Anger Management with Adam Sandler. Yes. It was to go in and do a John Turturro voice match. And we've talked about this before on the old Streamcast. Some of the voice matching auditions you get, and this is the old days, they don't seem to do this anymore. They bring you all in and they sit you down and they say, okay, we're on a tight schedule. Here's the scene. And they play it up on a screen. These are the actors, and you hear the one actor, you've got a voice match, and that's the line. And he goes, okay, you got it? Let's play it one more time. Right there. Okay. You ready? All right. Go. And this is the audition. And everyone's just sitting there, and they just point at you. Okay, go. And the first guy just has to get up there and go do it. And this was for John Turturro. And I remember John Mariano booked it. Oh, yeah. And I think it was between John and myself. It was close, but John got it, and he deserved it. And later on, I said, yeah, John got that. And you said, yeah, I did John C. Reilly in that for the...
John and Jack Nicholson.
And Nicholson.
Had to do, which is
so you were John C. Reilly and Jack Nicholson, basically, in the scenes.
In that thing. And it was the weirdest thing because they for the audition, they just sent the Jack sides. They didn't have any samples of his voice. And like voice acting too, it won't necessarily be your best impression.
Yeah, it won't sound like the guy you think.
Yeah, it's not the guy when you're doing Jack Nicholson on stage. It's just, hi, Tom, how are you? Okay. Yeah. It's a regular guy, know, or whatever he's choosing to do for that particular movie. Mm-hmm. It'll be a different voice in another movie. Mm-hmm. It's very, that's so funny. Yeah, John C. Reilly. Oh, God. Mises to pieces. That guy is so funny.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Not afraid to look goofy.
No.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I'm thinking of another one we did, and this is one of the few things that you and I went out for, and you didn't get a spot in it, and I did, and I think it was only because of the process itself was so arbitrary, and it was for Black Hawk Down. We go out to Sony. When you go out to Sony to audition for ADR for that, you're in for a long walk because nobody gets, unless you're like a name, you don't get a drive-on pass. You go park in their 6-story parking structure, and you just make your way down, and you walk 2/3 of the way across the damn lot to get to the ADR stage. Mm-hmm. And for Black Hawk Down, they said, look, this movie just has F-bombs all over it. We need 6 people to work on this movie. And we got so many parts we have to fill in. And they didn't have time to have us come in one at a time and read for 6 different things. And it was a bunch of us just standing there. He said, okay, this guy, who thinks they can do this guy? And it was whoever could elbow their way up to the mic. And I saw one guy that I knew I could do, and I just managed to get myself in position. I nailed him. And then, it's like for you, there never was somebody that you could definitely get that you had a chance to get to the front of the line for.
Oh, yeah.
So this is one of those times where it had very little to do with how appropriate you were. It was like they dumped a bunch of food in the middle of the room and they said, who's hungry?
Exactly. And that's when you realize you are a very service-oriented job. You're there to solve their problem.
Yeah.
So they just overload it. They throw money to the wall, bring in 15 people. Can you do, they don't care. They just want to get it done right. I've had, I mean, this is so rare. It's a strange story, but I even had it where they just took the first guy they interviewed.
Yeah.
Like we all showed up and these were like, there were some SAG people that were pissed. They were just like, audition everyone. Well, we didn't have time, and he did it so well. So you guys have a good day. And I remember just thinking, wow, this business.
I would go straight for the craft. If they had any kind of craft service table,
Nothing.
I would say,
Nothing.
you know what? I'm taking all of your snacks.
Nothing. Probably
you
some
made
coffee.
me drive.
I was
Culver
pissed because
City.
it was like I was pissed too because it was like an 8 a.m. call. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was great, and then we're like all there, and they're like. And the guy who got the gig was like, I'm sorry, I didn't know. We're like, no, it's cool. Don't feel bad. He was in shock too. He's like, don't you want to hear everybody before?
I would have felt bad too, but there's a part of me that would have just wanted to go out there and like Jim Carrey and Dumb and Dumber just go.
Well, that's what Nolan did. He did that to me in an office once. You know the story?
I've heard it. Yeah.
Match? We're in this thing, and they were like, they do this announcement where they're like, Chris, thank you so much for being here. Keith, we're going with Frank, but thank you guys for all the work,
Yeah.
And that's usually how it is. Well, they did that. They're like, we're going with Nolan. He stands up, ha, in your face, Catashore, da-da-da-da, right? And I have to play along.
Yeah, of course.
And I just look down. I'm like, oh, man. And everyone's looking at us like, oh, this is really unhealthy. Like,
man, this goes back a lot of years, doesn't it?
Oh, and then I used to have fun with it, too, where I got released once. Like, they're like, thank you for coming in on Saturday, but we're really good. We'll use you again. And there's a whole room full of people. And I think Keith Ferguson was the only one who knew me at this group, right? Whole bunch of people. And I go, oh, okay, thanks, Sam. He walks out, and I'm like, I almost had it. And everyone's like, oh, shit. You're like, what's going on? And Keith's like, don't listen to him. Just don't.
No, you got to play that up. It's like, I almost had my P&H benefit. I really needed that operation.
Wow. Okay, because
this is back to Santa Monica Boulevard for me.
No, it's rough on the soul. It can be.
Believe me, I once booked a job. It was a voice match. I booked it because I was literally the only person that showed up. And I'm not misusing literally like kids now are doing. I mean,
happen?
Objectively, factually, I was the only person that showed up. Jean, by the way, P&H benefit is your pension and health. You have to earn a certain amount each year or within a 12-month calendar period. When you join the union, if you join in, say, June, then you're in a June 30th to May 30th or June 1st or whatever it is, June 1st of the next year. Your pay period, your earnings period starts like July 1st, and it goes all the way up to June 30th in the next year. You have to make that certain amount of money for you to get a pension credit. If you get 5 pension credits. You get a pension when you're older, when you retire, or is it 10? I can't remember if it's 5 or 10. I don't know either. But if you get 20 health, and if you get 1 health credit, then that means for the next 12 months, you get insurance through the union. You get either Plan 1 or Plan 2, depending on how much you earn, and you pay a very low premium. It's an incredible insurance program. It's my whole family's on it. Thank you. And so your P&H benefit, by the end of your 12-month period, you need to have earned a certain amount. So for a person to say, I got like a week left, man, I got to book one more job for me to get that P&H benefit, and
Yeah, and that's when agents often feel the stress to try, like, I got to get this guy
a booking.
Give him something, and that's why, it's very neat in the voice acting community. You do have a lot of generosity. People being like, you should get so-and-so. It drives me crazy in this business where I know so many talented people, famous people, that are like, I'm not making medical. You're like, how?
Yeah, how could that be?
You're on the Netflix show. How are you not?
Because it's a Netflix show.
You know what I mean?
That's why.
And it's
because the residuals are not quite the same. Yeah, exactly. But people think, and I've said this before, people think if they see you on TV or hear you one time, you live in a solid gold house and you are driven around by a limousine. It's like, no, I worked that day, and the residuals were modest, and I had to go out and I had to, work other jobs because it doesn't just pay you.
And you're so happy to work at all.
Yeah.
I mean, like, to be able to get anything going.
Right.
And, and just to be invited to the party, just to keep, to get in, is a really, really big deal. And even if it's a small thing, when I say small thing, like, I love playing utility. Actually, I think you're the same way.
Oh yeah. I'm a Swiss Army knife.
I love playing utility. I'm sure your audience knows, but it's just like when you're playing, like for Family Guy, I'm like, cop number 2, Bono, Mark Twain in a toilet, all in one show, and and I don't know what I'm going to be,
right?
And it's fun, but when you get to do those things, or you're cop number 2 or whatever, they get to hear you, and then they go, oh. I think he might be good.
Save him for this other thing,
yeah. Or I heard him on this. I feel like I yelled my way in, really, because I started off with, like you, I was comedy and music, all this, and I came in. Really, my work ended up being creatures and yelling people on fire. Medic, and because that was the only way at that point I could.
Yeah.
Bust in, because nobody was, you're not, how are you going to go into a show where they already have everybody?
Right.
You got John DiMaggio, you got Maurice LaMarche, you got, Robbie, we got all these people. Then they want to see what you do that's different.
Right.
And that takes time sometimes. Sometimes it hits big for some people, but other times it's like, you got to just keep, auditioning and rolling it, and then they will keep you in mind. Even if you don't get the part, they'll remember that audition.
Yeah. And that's what I've called my job on The Simpsons, is Swiss Army knife. It's whatever they happen to need to fill out the edges, to round out the scene. It's a lot like what you do for Family Guy. Yeah. And it's and look, the cast is capable of doing anything, but sometimes they take a little bit of a load off them. And
that's right. And they want variety.
Yeah. Exactly. And so that's utility, as Jean is asking. Is that the same thing as being listed under additional voices? Pretty much, yeah. And
pretty much.
So much of my career is additional voices. It is not the glamour part.
Oftentimes used for film, where you're a bunch of different people in the looping and the utility. I'm surprised they don't usually give the credit utility, but it came out of also musicians. That was the guy who played harmonica, piccolo, and a banjo, not at once, but like whatever was needed for the song. Yeah. And they call, who's our good utility player?
Yeah.
And a lot of us are.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If you wanted to see a documentary on Netflix that is parallel to what voice actors, to what the kind of voice acting you and I do, especially, although I can't do creatures well, that is definitely something you do very, very well. But it's called the Wrecking Crew.
Wrecking Crew.
The Wrecking Crew. You knew it before I said it. These are session musicians. I was
going to try to harmonize with you.
Yeah. Well, we are session musicians is what we are. And the Wrecking Crew would go and play in 3 different studios in a day. Say, I'm going here, then I'm going here, then I'm going here. And for me, it's not so much all on the same day, but there is a lot of bouncing around. And if there's another parallel for that, if you ever see the movie Rounders, which is one of my favorite movies, Matt Damon and Ed Norton basically are grinders. Well, it's funny. John Turturro's character, Kanish, I think is his name, he's the grinder. He doesn't make huge plays, but he regularly makes his money. And then he goes home. But these guys go to all these different games around the city, and they just play. And it's wherever the game is, that's where they go. And that's a lot of that is what we would do. It's like, what studio you headed to next? And you get to know the city very well. They get to know you. And we need this, and we need it quickly. Boom, and you're there. And so it's like being a session musician or a poker player on the circuit. You're finding games, and you're knocking them out. You
find that you're parking in the same place as the session musicians too at the studio. You see, it's kind of like an instrument gets Sony, you know.
That is funny.
No, but it's true, and I love that, and I wear that with pride. I enjoy that, and that's not to say then Chris won't then go home and work on his own project or his own album or do his own thing.
Well, you're on my project right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. We'll jam, you know. And that's the thing is. So everybody kind of has their own thing, but they really are like their day job is to get around town. And this is the first time I used to live out of my car, really. And it's so interesting being home for so long. You know, I've never stayed since I was working in animation and working at home. I've never stayed this length of time anywhere. You know, like it's just like, and I got to say, because my life's changed, I actually love it.
Yeah.
You know,
well, like when
not what's happening to the world is depressing.
No, but you're finding the silver lining as I am. I'm slightly ahead of you on that curve only because my kids are older and I got married before you did, but we both got married later. When you and I met, I was 30. And I think you're what, 30? You were a year older than me.
I'm a year older.
Yeah, you're 7 years older than me now, which is really weird how time
I know
works.
It's a dog thing, but
it's a really weird thing.
Wikipedia made me a year older. I don't know why they did that.
Well, it's funny because Wikipedia never gets anything wrong. We'll have to ask them about that. Yeah, but we were at roughly the same stage, just single guys, and I don't mind. I'll come in whenever, and I'll go wherever. This is what I do. And then eventually, and this is a great way to bring this around, when I finally got married, I met this lovely gal, and I said to myself, I play softball with a bunch of comics and actors every Sunday, and I know a bunch of voice actors. I must know somebody who's an ordained minister. I'm sure I do. I just don't know it yet. And I said this out loud to Pat Brady. I said, Pat, I'm sure I must know someone who's an ordained minister. And she says, Fred. I said, are you kidding me? Yeah, Universal Life Church of Modesto. It's like an online church, and he's an ordained minister. I said, okay. Yeah. And so Fred was the minister at my wedding to my wife, and Fred read us the vows and all that stuff. And yes, Fred is on my wall in pictures. Well, I think if we got a shot of it, you're in there somewhere.
We got a great picture.
Well, you didn't get to stay around for the group picture because
I'm not the huge group, but on the wedding when we were together.
You're in there, wedding. Yes, but
not the huge party.
You were doing a convention. You left a convention to come marry your friends.
Oh yeah. Oh hell yeah! You much more important than anything else I was doing, but it was like that was such a beautiful ceremony. It was so much fun. You know what I mean?
It was very light.
That was great.
It was the opposite actually of yours because I remember our ceremony was we just got together about 15 people. It was her family. It was a couple of friends of mine, some family, and then you. And that was it. It wasn't that much. And then we just went to the end of the street where you could see the ocean, and you married us.
It was guerrilla warfare.
It was a flash mob wedding.
Straight up, but the scenery was incredible.
Scenery was awesome.
What was so funny? What's that?
Well, that's what it was all about. Was do it quickly, and it's the scenery.
It was perfect. It was just beautiful. Yeah, mine got crazy, and it was not intentional.
Yours was almost like a Fellini movie. We show up,
like,
and you had booked out a block of downtown.
I know what it was. You know what it was. You know, and the worst part about that though is like you know we wanted it to be open to everybody, keep it kind of open, but then certain people miss out, and then you feel like, God, you got to invite everybody or nobody. You know what I mean? And if it's some people I wanted there that I couldn't get in touch with, and it was just sad because we just wanted to keep it like a loose open thing, and I was so stressed at that time with everything, a bunch of other stuff going on in my life, and we just kind of just like we were allowed. Here's the thing: we were allowed to use the park, Grand Park, for a steal. Because any other place like a church or a certain like location, you have to pay so much. This was just one of those where we don't have anything going on, and there's no residences nearby that will complain. So you can't
let that opportunity go by.
No, and it was like, okay, this is funny. So we had this fountain we really liked, and we just sort of we got married in this fountain, and then my shoes got stolen. My wedding shoes got stolen, and I was like, that's a real LA sort of story.
How do your wedding shoes get stolen?
Because I went into the fountain barefoot, and then I was going to put on shoes, for afterward, and and I hope that person, well, you know what, I shouldn't say it was stolen. The shoes were replaced, so my size 12s were replaced with a size 10 sneakers. The person stole them. Left sneakers, so it was really enforced trade, not really stealing. It's very more LA.
You bartered,
and
just without knowing it. Yeah, you found out later.
Size 10s that are not going to work for me,
right?
But maybe those might work for them, and I hope they're in good health. I mean, really.
I guess so.
It's like,
I remember. I remember thinking weddings, based on all the friends I had that had gotten married, can get crazy. They can get out of hand, and they can be very stressful. And so I told my wife, I said, look, I don't want this to become something stressful. What do you want it to be? And she said, I don't care where we do it. I just want to see the ocean. And so we had toyed with all these different scenarios. Any place you want to rent that's where you can see the ocean is very expensive. So for us, I said, well, we love to go to this one place. After looking at houses, we would go to open houses for fun. We'd love to go to this one place, get cookies, and then walk out to this bluff and just look at the ocean and eat our cookies. That was sort of a Sunday thing for us.
Well, that's kind of perfect.
Yeah, and it was at the end of a street, and it was almost communal property because there was a walking path. And I thought, why don't we just stand there and do it? Could we do that? And she said, I guess so. I said, I don't think there's any rule that says you cannot. There was no Chamber of Commerce I was aware of to ask for a permit, and I thought, so what if we just show up and do it? Should we ask the people that live on either side? And my wife said, no, don't ask permission, just do it and we'll be gone. And who's going to stop a wedding? It's not like we've got all this stuff.
That was my thinking too, because we were pretty unobtrusive.
Yeah.
It looked if anything like we were doing photos. You know what I mean? It looked like we were going to set up to do something,
right?
And we were there, and the only thing that was working against me, believe it or not, was just wind. Because I remember the wind took the page, and I jumped ahead, and I was like, no.
This would have been great though, and I wouldn't have minded at all if it jumped ahead. And if you halfway through your vows, you lost your place, and you just went, fuck it, and just walked off.
Now,
man and wife. Yeah.
Okay. You and Nolan probably would have fallen down.
Yeah.
I think your wife would never speak to me. I mean, she's very kind and forgiving, but I think that might have been a bit much. That might have been, we would have had to do a do-over.
It might not have been the most auspicious way to start a marriage. Minute one was the priest cursing.
An angry minister would be just, yes, do you have the ring? Really?
It's like, okay, and do you? Yes, you. Keep up. Let's go. We're talking now. Yeah.
Seriously, this is your ring? Okay. No, that's cool.
So 2 days' salary is what we're basing this on now.
No, it
2
was
hours
such an
salary.
It was But see, in a sense of that, that's what made it so beautiful, was just the intimacy of it. You know what I mean? It was really fantastic.
Well, this is how I learned that I had married the right person, is when we were planning it, I said, look, I don't want this to be a big pain in the ass, so just let's keep it small. But we should have a nice dinner afterwards, which you were invited to, but you really couldn't stay. You had to get back. You had committed.
Oh, I know.
You had committed to doing the convention. So we had a restaurant that was our favorite restaurant to go to. They always had live music. And I, playing it straight as always, not knowing, called up and said, yeah, we're going to have a wedding reception there for 16 people. How much would that be? And I know when the lady heard me, she says, oh, let me get out the book. Slam. Me look. Any wedding book that has services in it is always this thick.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's a Hong Kong phone book. It's just massive. And I'm sure she opened it up and said, yeah, it's going to be several thousand. I thought, okay. And I hang up the phone and I says, well, I guess we can't do it there. And my wife said, she picked up the phone and called and said, yeah, we want to have dinner there on Saturday night for 16 people. And, can we reserve a table? And the lady said, oh, yeah, we'll just put you upstairs. Yeah, what time? 8? Okay, yeah, we'll see you at 8. And so we just showed up with a cake and my wife in her wedding gown. And I'm sure they let us in realizing, okay, fine. All right. Yeah, you got us. Okay. But what are they going to do?
That is just crazy. And this is a very good thing for people to hear.
Yeah.
No, don't say, yeah, we're doing a wedding. It's just like a wedding party.
Yeah, just don't tell them. Just show up. It's like, what, are we not allowed to eat here after our marriage?
We're just having dinner.
We're just having dinner. We brought our own dessert. Is that a crime?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, that was it.
Because it isn't common knowledge to know that. I kind of had messed up a few things like that, too, about like, okay, if you say you want it to be this event, and it's like, you're already... That's crazy.
Sif Headed on the chat is saying, I dropped my wife in our first dance. So there's that.
I get that.
Well,
I get that. I can see how that
maybe your wedding song shouldn't have been Time of My Life from Dirty Dancing, where you put that pressure on yourself to do the lip.
That was a bit much.
I'm coming down. So just remember. All right. That's the thing not a lot of people know, is that you were an ordained minister, and that was not the first wedding you've done, correct?
No, I've done a few. I've done a few, and most of them, I'd say most all except one are still married. So that's pretty good.
Good track
I think
record.
I've done about 12.
Okay.
About 10 or 12, yeah.
We're going strong. Let's see. We hit 10 years in April, so... Oh, that's good. Yeah. Thank you. It's time flies, doesn't it? 10 years.
That is nuts.
We had a trip. We had a trip to Spain planned. We had not bought anything, but we had said, it's going to be 10 years. It's going to be 10 years. I looked at my schedule, found about a 10-day gap where I knew I wasn't going to be working on anything. And I said, 10 days is not a lot of time, but it's enough if we only go to like one place. And so we were going to go to, I think, Madrid, and take the train to San Sebastian for a day maybe. But either way, it was going to be about a week, and we were just going to have a blast. And I said, we're older. I don't think I want to fly coach. And I don't even know if I want to fly business class. I think I may want one of them there lay-down beds. That's going to be expensive. This is like, we're looking at $10,000 to just go, to just fly there and come back. And I was this close to punching buy. Because if you want to guarantee the ticket and get insurance for
you got to do it.
You got to spend more like $20,000. And I thought, okay, I could just buy it with no chance at a refund, and that way we'll be committed to going, and we'll make sure we go. And I didn't do it, and then the pandemic hit. Although I've been told they probably would have refunded you your money.
You think? I don't know. Yeah,
I didn't want to take that chance.
No. You don't know. You don't know what that could be, because that would end up being like, oh no, we'll give you credits for another trip.
Yeah,
you're not going to want to have.
Yeah, which you'll be able to take one day. Who knows when?
If you redeem it at a certain location.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I know. Those things are crazy. Okay.
But,
you will
10
make
years.
that trip.
10 years.
That's congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys were really magic, though. I got to say. I mean, I remember.
We were easy.
I've known you for so long as a still guy.
Yeah.
And, hilarious date stories you've had, things you would go through. And then when I met her, I was like, yeah, this is so perfect. Not to be cliche, but like, you guys kind of came in pretty advanced a little bit. You've been through life a little.
I mean, yeah, she'd already been married once, so she had already, been to one rodeo, and I was pushing 40, and so it got to a point where I realized I think I know how this all works, and she was patient with me, gave me a little extra time to figure it out, but when you're friends and even your agent is saying, you should marry her, you realize that, so you realize, I think this is probably a good idea if everyone around me can see it. But it didn't take me that long to make up my mind.
No, and clearly, knowing her, you could see why. I wouldn't, she's wonderful.
Yeah, she's great. And let's see, for you guys, you've got to be coming up on what, maybe 7 years? You've been married? 6 or 7?
Oh no, we were 2016.
Okay, 4 years.
Yeah, marriage, and so, I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
We had done but she and I had done the dance of
a long time, right?
Of like break up, back together, the stuff but we had to grow. We just had to figure our stuff out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Once we did, it was a really, really positive thing. But we had to go through a lot of stuff to get there.
Right.
A lot of being on our own, and and realized we didn't want to quit each other. So that's kind of how it is. Yeah, it was just kind of like, oh, we're actually better together. We're actually a better team, and we like hanging out. Like, we actually love each other. Like, why are we fighting this? And then it got to the point too where we really did want to bring in life. There was a point where we're like, we need to bring in some life.
Yeah,
that was a big thing for us.
Yeah. And how's that going?
Yeah. Oh, it's the best. I mean, I just love it. I mean, it's been interesting quarantine with a toddler. Your kids are now at a different.
Yeah, they're going to be 7 and 9.
So, kind of golden age, different kind of thing happening.
Yes.
It's just been such a trip, and he is just my son Zemo Oliver is just like he's hilarious. He's growing so fast. He loves sounds and music, and we just play. We do a lot of playing. It's a lot of work, being now, there's no daycare. We're all home together doing this. And he is, he's just a blast. He's really.
You have a pool, do you not?
Yes, we have a stamp-sized pool. Right before the pandemic, we were living downtown in a 1-bedroom apartment with 4 animals. Before that, I'd lived in Venice for years.
Right.
Both had places in Venice. And I spent most of my life in Venice. And then we moved together to this beautiful, nice place, 1-bedroom apartment downtown, 4 animals and a baby. And I was like, that was great, but it would have been a lot tougher during the pandemic because here at least I have an outside to go to.
Right.
So I'm very grateful.
Right.
And we have a postage size. We got a nice little pool for the kid. It's really nice to be able to get out there and swim. And he's just we're now into art. We're doing lots of little drawings and things, and he makes sounds that I can't I see him working on sounds.
Really?
And I'm like, how do you do that?
I'm going to use that.
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, we just start playing. As you know, this is very important. And he says it very casually too. Like, not just this. He's like he's telling me something. And then when he's really serious, and then I'll just go with him. We're just doing that. And I try to, in between that and then talk to him straight like I'm talking to you.
Right.
No, not about, anything horrible. Let's talk about Hitler and porno. No. But I like to tell him, like, what's going on. Okay, I'm going to change your diaper now, and da-da-da. And we'll go in between serious talk to completely ridiculous.
Right.
Now he's doing stunts that scare me. I realize he's an adventuresome guy.
Okay. He's how old?
He's going to be 2 in August. 12.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So
you got to start putting locks on things.
How I've done that already, and boy, yeah, he presses every button, finds every knife. I was like wrestling Chucky. He'd walk around with his big knife. He got out of the dishwasher. I'm like, no, please put down the knife, son. No.
Give me the boy and I'll let you live. I didn't know you sounded like Brad Dourif when you talked. That's amazing.
That's right. Come on, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, God. I love that. That voice is so great.
Oh, yeah.
he's just frustrated, man. I'm just so he's I love Brad's amazing. So wrestling with him with a knife and all this stuff. He's but he is a love. Like, he's not attacking anybody with it. He just needs to get everything,
right.
he can. That's to his peril.
Kids get into stuff.
Now his thing is falling off of things. Like, we have these little foam rubber blocks he climbs, and I swear, I filmed it. I'll send it to you. It's a Chris Farley show. He's like, hey! His legs are flying over, and there's a part of me, the Chris Farley part of me, that's like, that was really well done.
Yeah.
You roll this way. Don't hit your head. But then he's like landing on his head, and I'm like, oh, I see the problems. Like, you realize you can't do this without padding, right? Like,
right.
He's just a turbo tornado. He really is, and it's I don't want to I don't want to squash that spirit.
Right.
But I also know that I have to guide it or get it in a parameter. I'm sure I'm talking like every dad in the universe.
No, you're there to just put a little bit of a bumper on the bowling lane to make sure the ball doesn't hop over into somebody else's lane.
Just because he does these things that are astounding. But I'm going, oh my gosh! And now he's only this age. Now is he going to be like, Dad? I'm doing rock jumping.
Yeah, Yeah, there does get to be a moment where you realize that we have stairs, and we have a 2-year-old, and
I'm terrified.
I'm gonna put a gate there, but our daughter Violet, Remy was always pretty much wherever you put him, that's where he's gonna stay. He's fine.
Yeah.
He was a little adventurous, but he mainly he stayed within the boundaries.
He did,
Violet, not so much.
Oh, okay.
Violet had a crib, and she didn't like being in that crib. She always wanted to climb out. And most kids, they go from the crib to like their own little bed, usually when they're, I don't know, maybe 3-ish, something like that. It was the moment we realized she could climb out because she was going to come over the top and fall out, and it would be the middle of the night. There wouldn't be anything we could do about it. So finally, when we realized she was able to get out of that crib on her own, we thought, well, it looks like it's time for her to have her own bed. And at least she's going to only fall 2 inches to the floor. Instead of...
How old was she?
Geez, my wife would know more than I would, but she was still in her terrible 2s, I believe.
Violet
and we thought
was 2 and crawling out of the thing.
She could make it out of the crib. And I thought, this is, we just got to go ahead and get her a bed. She doesn't want to be in the crib. Yeah. Kids are just different that way. Some will stay right where you leave them, and others, as soon as you put them down, they're off.
Friend of mine, his daughter brought in the lock. They have baby locks on the door.
Yep.
Brought the baby
Brought it to
lock.
him.
Dad, this was on the door.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
It was on the door for
Yeah, for you to not be able to pull it off like that. Yeah.
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 So, I know they do any. I'll see. He'll come storming in here into my audio booth, and nothing will disrupt. Like in a session, it's if your kid disrupts the session, it's humorous. Like people, like if I interrupted your session, people would be like, "What?
Come on, man!" On? Yeah.
This kid comes in with a toilet brush, like he's storming the castle, and they're behind me, and all the directors are laughing. They think this is great. I'm like, "Oh, hey, here's my kid." Da, da, da. My honey, is this brush clean? I don't know. It's just like,
okay, I'll go do the dishes with it. Yeah.
Oh, it's just he just finds it. But it's such a great way to, you get so much out of it. I really see the world.
And yes, I'm sure you've heard this from your friends with older kids, but it is going to get more and more interesting for you because sooner or later you're going to have real conversations and you're going to realize that they have a personality. Yeah. They have a point of view. They have an opinion on things, and in my case, I would bring Remy and Violet into the office when I would pick up checks on a Friday, or I would do an audition.
I remember.
Yeah, and I would bring them in and let them talk on the mic for a minute because, if it wasn't too busy, nobody minded. And they grew up doing that, and I still have little clips that Scott, the engineer, would send me of them talking. And sometimes I would do it at home. And sooner or later, Remy is now an actor, a voice actor, because he wanted to try it. And so the other day, this was 2 weeks ago, he had a booking. And I said, okay, as long as it doesn't, it's like, okay, this is when I'm booked. And then this is when he'll be booked. We can't book ourselves at the same time because we've only got one booth. And so I did my job. And then a couple hours later, I set him up. And I put him in on a Zoom call, and we had a Source Connect going, and I put the headphones on him, and then he can read, and so he's reading his copy. I hear him talking to the director. He's reading his lines. I left the booth, because it's big enough for two of us. I left the booth, went and had some soup in our kitchen, and I would come and check in, look and see how he's doing, and he was just doing a job, and I thought, I can't believe this is happening. But yeah. Get ready for that.
So I would love that. I think that is just great. And he loves doing it.
He does. There are certain things he doesn't like to read for, so I just say, okay, you don't have to read for it. Like they'll say, oh, you have to be able to sing. It used to be he didn't care. If you wanted him to sing, he would do it. He couldn't wait. Now he has an opinion on it. It's like, I don't really want to do singing stuff.
Is it that he feels, I mean, and believe me, if it's too much to share, or he doesn't, I don't want to is it a confidence thing, or is he just not into it?
I think it's both. I think now he might be more self-conscious because as kids get older, they start to think about how they're going to be regarded by other kids, and they don't want to do anything that's maybe lame or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and I wonder if that's it.
Singing can be daunting, even in character. You just want to, because you never know. You might be in your wheelhouse, or how serious are these musicians, these composers? They'll say, "Oh no, we want we just want you to come in and sing like that." Well, you got to hit it's actually a C. No, if you get the higher C, the song goes dee, 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 dee. You're like, oh, dee, dee, dee. No. So I wonder that could be it. That's a thing.
If you work on a show with the real musical director, they'll start using musical terms with you, and I'll say, I don't know what that means. Okay, well, like this. Okay, so just give me a note, and I'll match it. But I couldn't just do a C for you because I don't know where that is on the scale.
Sure.
But give me a note, I'll hit that. Yeah, I don't have the vocabulary.
That I could see being a very daunting thing, and then that's just learning it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if it's a lame factor, that's as he becomes an actor, he'll just learn how to be shameless.
That's what I'm going to teach him too. I would tell him, look, son, yes, every now and then you might feel weird about doing something, so just don't do it if it's not your thing. But there are going to be other times where you realize that if you just turn your creativity loose, you will be amazed at what you're capable of doing. You'll be amazed at where your hands go while you're reading. You'll be amazed at the noises you can make if you just turn it loose. So that's just going to be a process.
It is. And I mean, barring everybody, by the way, I don't want to play this, fascist thing, or, I get it. If you're like, oh, this is insensitive to my sensibilities, that's one thing. But if it's a thing of like, I'm afraid to look lame, or that's a whole, it's funny you bring up the hand thing. This is, I've noticed, and I don't know, everyone's different. This is again, like the cold read and the not cold read. I move a lot when I work. I mean, to the point where I'm knocking stuff. I got to really be careful. And I even noticed it with this one, like with this children's show I do, Bubble Guppies, where I'm talking, but I'm using my hands in such a way, like to kind of emulate notes that I'm playing in my head. And I forget that until I get on stage or I do an on-camera thing, and I forget how bizarrely manic I've become. Because you really do look crazy sometimes.
Yeah.
Doing this. Now, other people know. Like, you see Rob Paulson, crazy. He's, golfer. He's right up. Right up here. He has not moved. And he's done every insane thing, and he's here. And then, like, for me, or Keith Ferguson, or just, like, going nuts. And everyone has their own, place for it. But I've noticed it even on the most simple lines now. I'm moving my hands with the text, and I like, what is I don't know.
It's
conducting.
Yeah, exactly. You're your own orchestra. And the other thing I thought of is, okay, if you are your instrument, if your voice is your instrument, then play yourself. Do whatever you need to do. Play that instrument to get it out, because I'll do that. I'll be in my booth. I'll be reading things, and I'll notice I'll have done something with my hand or my head. Sometimes I'll do a head jerk to get the line out the way I wanted to do. And I'm not doing it consciously. I'm just turning it loose. And if my body happens to do something, fine. Yeah. Fine. That's what it takes. I mean, this is for you. We have a lot of people that watch that are interested in voice acting, and
that's good. Okay.
There's no right or wrong way. Obviously, mic technique matters. You can't.
You got to stay on mic. Yeah.
Stay on mic, and you don't wear loud clothes. But if you need to move, then do it. Don't stomp your feet. But
don't stomp your feet, and be careful where you wave your arms. Into the usually the music stand or something, or the mic. But I remember, it made me think of a thing with you that always made me laugh. You did do a wonderful creature.
I thought about Wendigo? The Wendigo. Yeah, the Wendigo, and you were the Hulk.
Yeah, but this was what I love, and I wish I had filmed it, because you looked so professorial when you were looking at the page. And I believe back then sometimes you would hold a page. Like, I think you actually were like this. You were like.
Yeah, that's like the one monster noise I could do. Is that? Yeah.
But it was like, the lead in was so beautiful. You looked like you were going to say, "It was the best of times, the worst of." It was like, it was so sincere, but it was like, okay.
Yeah. It was an interesting day. It was a fun day because it was over at I think it was at Studiopolis in Burbank.
Yes.
Right at the edge of like North Hollywood and Burbank, I think, or Studio City. Yeah, that one. So I'm sitting.
Right, it was the other one.
I'm sitting on the left mic. You're in the middle, and Steve Bloom is on the other side of you, and it was for Wolverine and the X-Men.
Yes.
And I would sit, wait my turn, and then step up and I would do that. But then you were the Hulk, and you were using your entire body. You would start up here and just go, roar!
Yeah, you have to.
And then Steve Bloom would be sitting and staring and smiling at me behind you as you were doing these incredible Hulk noises. And then he'd get up and he'd be cool Wolverine, And it was just a really fun dynamic.
Oh, we had so much fun on that. Yeah, and I was Beast for his Wolverine, and we'd always joke about I think Tom Kane brought up, like, what's the drinking game is how many times Beast is interrupted by Wolverine. Like,
oh, really?
I believe there's a more sane way. We're going to do it this way. Like, it was always like, the mitochondrial DNA has also proved that, no, I'll find something. Like, it was always like, cut me off.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, that was a great fun show.
Yeah.
But
I think people don't realize just how often guys that work on the same show will work together on another show, and they're almost going on at the same time. This happens. There's a lot of overlap, and a lot of shows still, and again, the pandemic's changed all of it, but there were still shows that were really pushing to have ensemble recordings where they would want as many people in there as possible because there's chemistry, because there's a great way to play off each other. And
it's great for a lot of reasons. It's the chemistry.
Yeah.
Acting is, as you know, the reacting, and you can really make a scene breathe and live as opposed to you're trying to fill in the blanks of how that person might be responding to some of the things I'm saying.
Right.
Like it's and scheduling it becomes a nightmare for people. I think the more more famous people or people who work all the time, it's very hard to get everybody in the same place at the same time.
Yeah, and it's gotten harder and harder. And of course, now it's not really happening. It's not really happening the same way. I do table reads through Zoom.
Yeah,
so
we've done some records.
Yeah, we've done massive table reads, but I have not done an ensemble record with Zoom yet.
It's pretty good.
Okay,
it's hard. You got to have you really have to have engineers, like the ones that Out Loud and, a few others where they're like, we're really able to, you match it up. It can work. It can work, but you got to put up with a lot of technology, a
Well,
lot of things that we don't know why it's going wrong.
Right.
A lot of restarts, you know, a lot of like, reconnect, source connect, get back, you know. These are all great things to learn, but it's...
Well, it's funny because I am going to do something like that on Monday. I'm going to do an ADR job, but it's a loop group job.
Okay.
And I don't, I mean, you and I have done loop group stuff, but we're not that's another thing people are not aware of. There are these things called loop groups. And usually it's one person that organizes it and they cast it for different movies, different TV shows, just depending. But a lot of people are regular members of the loop group. And they are...
Barbara Harris.
Yes. And the actors they'll use, a lot of times they'll have a regular group of people they use. And these are amazing people because a lot of them are multilingual, because they can fill in different languages to round out a scene. They have great affinity with accents, and they're great at improv because they'll say, we got this crowd scene, we got to fill in this and that, go, do this, do that. So they're jacks of all trades, but a lot of them stay in that loop group because you need to be constantly available. And so if you have a regular thing going on and you're not available, you lose your spot in the loop group. So I've avoided ever being a part of a loop group because of the other stuff I have going on, and so have you. But every now and then we find ourselves with a day where we're booked out for the day, we're part of this group. And again, it's part of this ensemble experience where you spend a lot of time on the couch watching somebody else do something, and then you go up and take your turn. So I'm going to do that with Keith Ferguson's going to do it. And so we're all just going to Zoom from our homes, and we're going to sit and wait our turn and jump in whenever we're asked to jump in. And we were both booked for specific parts, but they're going to use us for the rest of the day. I thought the difference here is I'm my own craft service table. So if I'm not being used, I'm going to step out and go get a snack from my pantry and then come back, you know, and just...
I always like to joke. Yeah. Say, anyone want coffee? I'm going to go get coffee right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No,
So
it's really cool.
That'll be my first experience with that.
That means you have a really great engineer on the other side.
They're going to have a lot of plates in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot of plates. That means how many do you know total, without blowing any, you know, secrets? Do you know how many people are in your loop group? Or is it just you two?
No. It ain't going to be just us two because they said you're booked from 9 to 6. So I know they'll give us lunchtime and all that, but I cannot imagine they would just hold down me and Keith for that amount of time. So I don't, and I would normally not even say yes to this, but I don't stream on those days. We're not doing any Simpsons stuff on that day. Yeah. So it's like, okay, fine, you got me. What am I going to do? You know, I'm here.
Oh, it's something they're really trying to solve now is how to do loop groups. It's a big problem.
Yeah.
ADR is hard enough, you know, just doing your own or doing some, but they're slowly getting it down. You know, I don't envy the mixer. I don't, you know, with 13, 23
and they don't
tracks,
well,
you know,
this
how
is
do
what
we
they're
sound together.
Yeah, they're talking about sending out kits to everybody, and I said, you don't need to send a kit to me. My stuff has been used on broadcasts. It's fine. Yeah. But the others may need it because you do need as uniform a sound as possible. Yeah. So if they want to send out the exact same kit to everybody, I understand that. But then you got to take time with them and show them how to set it up. And, you know, this is where actors are having to learn that you're going to have to learn a little bit of tech. And if you want to keep working.
Yeah, that's been a thing. I've always wanted to. I love pro audio, and I've always wanted to learn it. And it took a pandemic. You know, it really did. I've always wanted to work on my own, you know, audio pieces and all this stuff. But and I did a little bit in the analog world, you know.
Right.
But this is on a whole other level. And plus, there's the pressure of it has to be broadcast, you know, cinema quality. And so getting everything soundproof, getting everything sounding right. It was a big learning curve. You were already kind of prepared when this thing hit?
Yeah.
Right? I barely made it in.
For me, I had already gone more towards auditioning from home almost for everything at that point. I would come in occasionally just so they could see me. And every now and then I would think, I would rather read this there. I don't want to have to run my own audition for this because it's very specific and I want to just not think about it And that's when I would rather have somebody there running it for me. But for the most part,
editing or
yeah, exactly. But for the most part, when we moved here in 2015, and it wasn't too much longer before I had the voice booth. And I had already had like a closet at home that I dedicated to it. So I had that down. But as far as Source Connect goes, I did not have that yet because it had not yet become a requirement. But it was mid-March when I knew they were about to announce a lockdown. And I had 2 jobs booked. And I said to one of them, I'm not comfortable coming in. They had not locked anything down yet. And they said, well, I mean, we're here. We would like it if you would come in. And I was just getting over a cold. And I said, look, I'm just getting over a cold. I'm pretty sure it's not COVID, but I'm not 100%. And they said, you can record at home. That's not a problem. And so I immediately got Source Connect. I had Andrew Cascino talk me through it. Kish. Give it up for Andrew Cascino. Also very talented rapper, very talented
voice actor,
rapper, producer,
everything.
Voice actor, everything, and extremely intelligent. He's in Mensa.
Yeah.
He passed the test. I know.
Beyond.
Yeah, he won't ever brag about it, but I'll brag for him. But he talked me through it and then got me in touch with them, and then they talked me through the rest of it. And just in time, like the day before that booking, I had it set up. We did the session. It was easy peasy, done. And so the later job I had that week was for The Simpsons. Did it. Not a problem. So I just got in under the wire.
Yeah, that's interesting. That was me too.
Yeah.
I basically we just moved, right before this happened.
It's a good thing.
And that was just like, oh, I got to figure this out. And I got a guy who became a very good friend. He'd help me just, soundproof and like figure out what to do. And, it was a big learning curve. And then it got hard too, because you couldn't have people being able to come over or tutor you the way you would in a normal situation.
You have to just learn it with friends.
I learned it with, engineers as I did jobs.
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy. It's like, so wait, what? And the worst part was it was for me, it was a lot of like the pro audio stuff I actually really dig. Like I could work on that all day.
Mm-hmm.
That's like I would almost do that. If I weren't doing this, I love that work. It was the simple technology that everybody else uses, like, how do I Zoom?
Yeah.
Where is now? That's an email. What button?
What's this red button do? Well, that records.
Touch. Yeah, I know. And it was just, it was so many. I got so like used to like some touch screen and some not, that I'm touching screens that I shouldn't. Like, why isn't that working? Oh, that's my computer. Sorry. I mean, just dumb. Like,
Trust me.
And then,
My viewers know. They've watched me struggle with streaming technology, with OBS, which is, I guess, the operating broadcast system. I don't even know what it's called. Online broadcast system. Who knows? I don't know. I don't care. I don't get it. But I've slowly fumbled my way through some sort of minimal skill level where I can do it. But it has changed so many facets of how we work, from the travel, from going to different studios, to the kinds of jobs that you'll work. Because I'll see now on the breakdown, you cannot audition for this job if you don't have a professional home set up.
Oh, and almost unanimously.
Yeah, exactly. There are studios that are giving people the option to come in. I just don't think it's safe. And so I don't know when it's going to be safe, but I have asked other voice actors this. As you know, there are a couple of people who've moved out of town, or they're busy moving out of town because they've decided, I don't know when it's coming back. I can do this from anywhere. So I'm going to go anywhere. So I don't know if that's yeah, exactly. Are you rooted to where you are, or would you think maybe we'll go a little farther outside of town to have more privacy and more space? I mean, has that occurred to you?
Right now, I'm rooted. I think I'm rooted here.
You just moved.
We just moved. We got it. We're growing food on our roof.
Are you?
Yeah, we got a little garden going. We got
nice.
We just are kind of like, we're kind of just. It's good for the kid. It's good for us. My wife's working full time, production designer.
Okay.
And she's working on the computer as we speak. And we do like it. I know there's a point. We're trying to figure out when it's going to be with the schools, when we can get him back into daycare. You know, some people say it's okay. I'm on the fence of like, I don't know if it's ready yet. And I don't know. We just feel like it would be fun to go on the road. Like I got a lot of friends going on RVs. Like, as long as you have good internet, you can direct from there's so many of our director friends are like taking off now.
Yeah. Mary and Steve, they're moving to Hawaii.
Well, they got a nice. They don't have it yet. They don't have it yet, but it's going to be amazing when they're doing so well for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Hawaii will be perfect for them. I mean, it's definitely in both their cases they're going to need a really good system. You know, because they work a lot.
Yeah,
you know?
They do.
It's like,
so
it's going to be great.
I've had that conversation, and because as I said, we're trying to sell our condo so we can buy a house and get more space, and we've looked at places outside the city, farther out, but the one that we've looked, and you get so much more, but at the same time, I'm thinking, on the one hand, it's always hotter, and I don't like the heat as much. And on the other hand, I feel like I'm moving away from the town I came to. And I feel like at some point things will return, maybe never quite to normal, but it will be back. I just don't know how long that's going to take. And so we've sort of split the difference. There's a neighborhood we've chosen that's not far from where we are now, but it has a view that we love. But the first thing we have to do is sell our place to be able to go move over there. And so it's private. There's more space, and there's a great view. And then I've still played the game with myself, though. I've said, if we get to a point where I know that I'll never have to go to a studio again, or they'll always give me the choice to work from home, and if we think we need even a different circumstance, it's like, how far out would we move to? We don't want to... LA is still a really cool town. There's a lot to do here that we like, but... that becomes the questions like, how far out of LA do you go before you're really no longer in LA? Before there's just no chance you're going to drive to a gig. It's always from home.
I think it really depends. I mean, I know a lot of people in the Thousand Oaks, you know, and then there's the Lancaster, Palmdale.
We looked out in Thousand Oaks.
It's hot, lots of,
It's far.
And then there's San Diego.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other thing. Yeah, it gets far. And do you want to do? I remember now you don't want to do it, but for a lot of reasons. But I love the area, Palm Desert. A lot of people were doing that, just because you can get a bigger space.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah.
I don't know about Palm Springs per se, but like that area, but a lot of those are people who like to work from home. You know, the people who can work from home. And before this pandemic, I mean, we had friends who used to do that, like Tom Kane, but they would say, like, you know what, I want to move back because I get out of the community. I want to be, you know, back in the animation. Now it doesn't matter. Now it doesn't matter. You can do this from anywhere.
Right.
I think how far would I would love to move to Hawaii, but
it'd be nice.
I love it there.
It's not going to be any cheaper than here. I mean, depending on where you go.
Yeah, do you worry about the schools? Do you worry about like what?
In our case, here's where we went with the schools. Used to be we would look at a school district and say that's a big facet. It's a big criteria for us. Not anymore, because we don't like the way schools teach. We like Montessori, so we had them in a Montessori school because we love the way they teach. We love that it's very fluid and it's very adaptive for how a child learns. They will teach to that. And the normal school system, LAUSD is no exception. They teach for a specific type of learner, and that's it. And they don't really adapt. They're too big to adapt to your child's specific needs. They may say they will, but they don't. Because Remy went to a kindergarten for 30 days, and then I pulled him out. I said, nope, this is not working. They just don't, no, they do not have his best interests in mind. And so we said, okay, and we found a Montessori for him when he became old enough. And then with the pandemic, we had to start doing remote learning. So they would have to Zoom call and conference call with the school several times a day to get in all their different, activities. Sure. And the teacher was only there for about an hour or two at a time at most, and Gigi was doing most of the work. And she says, I'm tearing my hair out here. We're doing most of the work, and the school's doing the best they can, but we realized we're just going to homeschool from now on. Yeah. Whether the schools come back or not, she has become convinced she can reach them better than any teacher. And we love the Montessori system, but she says, I can reach them more by working with them one-on-one or one on the two of them, and I will occasionally help. And she said, I can do it. And the money we save not paying tuition, we decided we'll put into getting ourselves into a house. So we no longer care about the school system.
So
we're out of it.
Because that sort of ties me to certain places. It's just the schools.
Yep,
and,
it does.
You know, one of the reasons we loved our preschool in downtown. We had a great place called Tiny Dots.
Yeah, and our kids did preschool. They did preschool. They did pre-K. And then for Montessori, they went up through, Remy was in the equivalent of third grade this year. Violet was in the first grade. They were in the same classroom because they do it that way. They do developmental stages.
Sure.
And then from here on, like, no, we're going to do it.
Well, okay, so if you're not worried about that, then you're pretty much, your work is fine with the remote stuff, right? Simpsons is cool.
Nobody's said you have to come in. They have offered. Different studios and things have offered. They've said we will follow very strict protocols. I'm just not ready to do it. But when they say, hey, everybody's coming in and everything's lifted, yeah, I'll be happy to go in.
Absolutely. I've had to do. Let me think. I had to do one or two. I had to do one because it was a film, and it was too crazy to try to get it remote. There was too much material and too loud. Like it was scary stuff.
All right.
And it was funny because we were all like a skeletal. Nobody interacted. It was just like it was hazmat crew.
I know.
Coming in. Yeah.
That's the hard part is that in a studio, the only person not wearing a mask is going to be the talent. And that's what makes it so touchy. Yeah. So that's why. Yeah. So if it stays where everybody just records from home, then yeah, you could live anywhere. So it's not like we're just going to say, okay, Madrid. We're not ready to leave the country yet, but yeah.
Yeah, if they take us, I don't think anyone.
Yeah. Talk to me in November, and I'll have a clearer answer as to how welcome we'll be anywhere. But no, I mean, I still a lot of my thing revolves around the fact that I'm part of a show that really will try and get everyone in safely. They're not going to be reckless about it, and I would be more than happy to be a part of that. And we'll continue to be happy to be a part of that. But there's nothing else particularly that ties me here. It's really that show that ties me here more than anything. I still love LA. It's a wonderful town, but I've got to be in my neighborhood of LA. I've got to be in my specific spot.
What would that be? What would that's west, like what area do you?
I'm on the west side. I do not like to reveal too much on stream.
Oh, no, I don't mean address. I just mean west side is what you're talking.
You grew up here, didn't you, in LA?
Oh yeah. I was born. I was born very young. No, I grew up in. I was born in New York, but grew up out here.
Okay, all right,
Los Angeles. And it's.
Your family is a production family, right? Don't you come from a production background?
Yeah, one side. I had the divorced family.
Okay.
So
yeah, I had that.
Yeah. You did that too?
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, I did that. I decided to do it when I was 2. I thought I want a divorced family.
3.
Yeah,
I did 3 when I was about 3 or 4. That's when 3. Yeah. It was actually all of them worked in production at one time or other. But yeah, it was really great to be growing up in the business and learning about studios and seeing people do crazy things. So even as an artist, I didn't have the thing where, most comics have the like, oh, you're never going to be anything. Don't do this job. What are you doing? I didn't have that. I had like, oh, yeah, well, if you want to do this is kind of like you should get your head together and do it. I had a lot of encouragement.
Yeah.
But by the same token, also a lot of like, I wouldn't say pressure, but like, no, you got to do right. You got to be good, learn as much as you can. And, it was like I really got to see a lot of stuff at an early age. And
right.
And I'm really grateful for that. father and mother and stepmom and stepdad. You know, they were really encouraging. You know, and I kind of feel that same way now as a dad. I just want to be like,
Yeah.
hey, I take him everywhere. Now there's nowhere to go.
Right.
But when I was doing Comic-Cons, I take him with me. I say, look, if I got to go to Indiana doing some, I know he's too young to appreciate it, but I kind of want to get him in the mode of seeing seeing the stuff.
That was my feeling too, is that I wanted, like when we did Brian Nevsky's Voices of the Park panel.
Yeah.
So Brian Nevsky at Disney, may he live forever. He has been he's been so good to me and you. Yes.
Brian Nevsky, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. If you're at a Disney theme park and you're enjoying a ride or an attraction, chances are Brian may have had something to do with who was cast in it. Right.
Pretty much.
So
yeah.
yes, and he's cast us in some stuff. So he would have these at D23 at Disney's big convention they have every 2 years. He'd have basically voice actors who are in rides from the park. He's had you and I on several times, and when I was on in 2011, my son Remy had just been born. Like I think days before. Yeah, days before. And so before we started, I got everyone in the audience, I got it on my camera to say, "Hi, Remy," because he couldn't be there. And then 2 years later, my daughter had been born days before. I'm at the same convention. He has his back again. And I said, "Hey, everybody, could you all say hi, Violet?" And I have a video of an entire audience of hundreds of people saying, "Hi, Violet." Then the next 2 years come by and they don't want to do the voice panel. You know, Brian wanted to do it. They said, no, we're not going to do it this time. So they didn't do it.
They were pushing for other big projects.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So then those 2 years passed by. And then finally, back in, I guess it was 2017? Or was it 2018? I don't know if it was it was 2017, I believe. Yeah, it was 2017. Yeah. They did it again. This time it was in a huge room. You were there.
Yes.
And I said, guys, who was here in 2011? Some people clap. Who's here in 2013? All right. Then you guys remember me having you say, "Hi, Remy, hi, Violet." Well, Remy and Violet are here. And I had them stand up and I said, "Could everybody say hi, Remy and Violet? And Mama's here, Gigi." And so I got to have my kids hear a room full of 1,000 people say hi to them. And I thought, I just want them to know what that's like. I want them to have a taste of what this life can be like. It's wonderful. It has these wonderful moments in it. So yeah, you got to grow up around these famous people that your dad was, I guess, producing or directing specials for?
My dad was a producer. One of the things for a lot of things, but the thing a lot of people mention is the Dinah Shore show. Dinah Shore was a wonderful singer and a variety talk show person, wonderful person, and really incredible artist. He worked for her for many years. But I was so young when he was doing those things. It was back in the 70s. So consequently, I'm meeting all these people who would later become my heroes. I didn't know.
Right.
I knew Muhammad Ali. Okay. I knew
Everybody
President
knew
Ford.
Ali. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
Those were big for me. You know,
you must have met Burt Reynolds at some point if it was a Dinah Shore show.
Nicest guy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he was fun. He would go wrestle, and he was who you would hope he'd be.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? He was just a crack up. Him and Dom DeLuise. Holy moly. You know, but even like Orson Welles. But here's the sad part. Like this guy is I think he's such a genius in every respect. But I knew him as the Paul Masson guy. You know, I did no time. This is
the French cuisine.
I love that. It's such wonderful sad outtakes because he was actually a wonderful man. But it's just
at this point we're just doing a Maurice LaMarche impression when we do that.
I know
because he's known for that.
And by the way, it doesn't tire me out. If
me neither.
He starts that, it's gotten better. Because it's even weirder now when Mo does it. It's not like he used to do kind of like regular Orson. Now it's like we know a field. Like it's like this weird, it's
we
turned
know of
into
a remote farm in Algiers. Why Algiers? I don't know.
It's just I was doing an Animaniacs. I was attending an Animaniacs thing, and it's just it started, and Dee Baker and I just busted up. Just like, you got to be kidding me. We're still laughing at it. It's not gotten old.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I would meet him, and he was so nice. He was great with like kids and like, please come join us. Like really, I mean, there was my friend's dad used to work at the restaurant that it was a chef at the restaurant that he would go to all the time, and he would be sitting there, and Orson Welles would be there, and the kid would be in there, and before it opened or whatever, and Orson Welles would start a conversation with the kid, like a really good conversation.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry, my son, doesn't know.
Sorry, my son has never read Marcel Proust.
Or just exactly, or just even. And Orson Welles is so busy, like, I believe your son and I are having a conversation. Like, please don't interrupt. It's just like, go back to your work. I mean, jokingly.
Yeah.
But it was some of the people I got to meet and sort of see live performances and go, wow, somebody did that. I was a little kid seeing Iggy Pop going, that's happening. You're like, oh, wow.
Somebody was in charge of making sure that all came off. And that was your dad.
Yes. Yeah.
You told me a story at the office one day at the agency, and I've never forgotten it, but I'd rather hear you say it. It was the Joe Walsh story. When they were doing a musical variety, some sort of festival or something.
That was the time when I actually could work. So I was about 17, 18 years old.
Okay.
I'm at Farm Aid. Now my dad did a lot of concerts and stuff later on. So lots of shows. Different I think he was with Dick Clark.
Okay. Farm Aid was huge.
Yeah. Was helping the farms, helping all the local smaller farmers. They're the big farmers that needed the help, but the pain was when you were a family-owned farm.
Right.
And so every musician came out and just like, whoever, anyway, from the Grateful Dead to Bruce Springsteen to, we're going to talk about the farms, and it just did this whole wonderful, and so you got to see all these great acts. And Joe Walsh, okay, so it was this very complex staging. The stage was like 4 stages that were on a rotating thing. So nobody, it was kind of brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
We're at the football field in Nebraska, so, it's huge. And so were the football players, man. It was, it was like, I'm a big guy. This defied scale.
Yeah.
I was like, who are these people?
And this is Joe Walsh from the Eagles.
Yes,
one of the biggest groups of all time.
Brilliant guitar player.
Yeah,
I mean, in every respect, one of my favorites. I think he's just what he does with the guitar, is ridiculous. It's so good. It makes that thing sing. Anyway, so he was doing solo stuff. He wasn't with not with the Eagles. It was Joe Walsh's band. And so basically, how the stage is set up, it's a rotating thing, and so when one act is done, we don't have to take down the drums, do anything.
Right.
We're on to the next.
Right.
Kind of brilliant. And then that gets broken down, so we're in 4 cycles here, and Dick Clark's out there announcing things, who another great guy.
Yeah.
And so it was horrible, though. What happens with rock and roll acts, not unlike comedy. You go over your time.
You go over your time.
And Joe is playing the shit out of this guitar. And it's great. And then the director, Gene Weed, at the time, brilliant guy, he said, like, well, we got to call it. I guess let's close it. We'll have the stage close out. It was a Spinal Tap moment. It really was Spinal. And he's like, play it. And then things going out. All right, I'll see y'all later. See ya. And it, bump. Okay. And he's gone. We thought it was the greatest ending of all. Like, I would have loved to have gone out like that. Like, playing, people are cheering, and I'm just saying goodbye. So now we hear Joe Walsh is really pissed off. He's coming to the he's coming to the trailer. He's trying to figure out it, and so we hear these guys, everyone in the trailer. We're in. Oh, by the way, let me preface this. I'm taking time code. And making sure all the acts are matching up.
And you're in the production trailer.
My dad, yes. It's a video trailer with the music. We're mixing the music, video, and my dad is feeding lines to Dick Clark, like, what's the next act? Right?
Okay.
So he's rewriting the new intros because things are happening always. And Mr. Clark has a thing in his ear. All right. Who do I interview now? All right, we'll do it. And he's doing all of that business, right? And we hear Joe Walsh is coming. He's running to the truck. So the director's like, lock the doors. So everyone locks the doors, right? Except there's some guys in the back who are mixing everything that's happened. They're not listening. So I hear, and part of me is like, should we just let him in? Or, and they're like, no, don't worry about it. And then we hear, he goes to the back of the truck, the van, where these guys are mixing, and he busts in. And here comes Joe, just long hair. I mean, he's very different today.
Yeah.
He's completely, cleaned up, and he's the most mellow. He's, it's a totally different scene right now. But and this was like 1988 or something, 89. Comes in, and I see this like rock and roll guy, crazy big hair. Can I say horrible things?
Say whatever you want.
Okay. Who the fuck's in charge here? Who the fuck, is and I believe my dad and I think I actually slid. I don't know what I did. I think I was just, 160 pounds. I just went, like underneath. I was just like, what? It was the what the F is happening moment.
Yeah.
And Gene Lee just stands up. I am in charge, sir. Well, it's a good thing I don't lock your fucking dentures down your goddamn throat. And he's like, well, what's the problem? Why are you taking me off that stage? Rotating stage. We weren't done yet. I had a whole bunch of stuff I was gonna do. Blah blah blah. Bad Joe Walsh. Whatever. And Gene, to his credit, just was like, well, please understand, we have a lot of acts, and everyone is to time. And if you keep playing long, the next act with Steppenwolf or whatever, they're not going to have too much time to play. And he went, you know what? I owe you a goddamn fucking apology. You're right. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Sometimes I just get playing, and it's just like, it's what I'm doing. I'm playing, and I get revved up, and I just was like trying to finish out something. You understand what I'm saying? I'm really sorry. You guys, you were right. You're right. I shouldn't be intruding on other people's time. And then he went, I'm really sorry. And he shook everyone's hand and walked out. Boom, bam. And we're just sitting there. There was silence. It was like, that just happened. Like, it was, what was amazing to me, the study, was to be so, I'm going to fucking kill someone. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't like that either. Like it was like
that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
It was unbelievable. It was like, wow, okay, way to get your control, way to change my head.
I tell you, I have
I loved him ever since.
Well, Patrick Laberto, who was also a client at the agency, who we would see in the office, he was in Little House on the Prairie and Jag, and of course, lots of movies. A couple of my favorites from the 80s, Summer School and Heathers, he's in those. And he's done a lot of voiceover work. But he told a story, and it's a Joe Walsh story. And now I have two Joe Walsh stories I can share because of you guys. He said, in between, when I was on Little House on the Prairie, which ran for years, and when I got on Jag, which ran for years, I was in between these two long series. And I guess I hadn't done movies, yet. I had not really hit that point yet. But I was an adult. I had made some money, and I started a business. And the business was delivering restaurant, like 5-star restaurant in food to people. So high-end luxury level food to people's homes. And so you would order, and it would be this nice 5-course meal, whatever it was, and we would deliver it to your home. And I had some drivers, but every now and then I would take a meal out. What the hell? I'm running a business. I want to make sure it works. I want to make sure it's efficient. So he says, we get a call, and it's in the Hollywood Hills. It's somewhere around Mulholland. And no, I was thinking it's Beverly Hills. And so it's in the morning. I knock on the door, and it's the kitchen door. And so opening up the door is this Playboy Playmate. And she's wearing like a man's shirt. And clearly they've had a wild night. And I look over her shoulder at the kitchen, And it's like somebody over the course of the previous evening got completely shit-faced, ate whatever there was in the fridge, and at one point tried to bake a cake. It's just all he said. He didn't describe it like, these are the objects I see. I just see the evidence that someone tried to bake a cake last night. The place is just completely wrecked. And Joe Walsh comes down the stairs in a bathrobe, and his Playboy Playmate girlfriend or whoever she is answering the door, saying, and she's so sweet, say, hi, here, okay, let me sign for that, and let me pay for that, and then she recognizes me. And she, oh my God, you run Little House on the Prairie, and I saw you in this movie, and I grew up watching, and this and that. And she's just raving.
And not to mention.
And then, and at a certain point, I realize here it comes, and she says, what happened? And he said, oh, well, I'm fine. I have this business. And she goes, okay, Joe, this was so-and-so. And now she starts raving to Joe Walsh about how awesome it is that she gets to meet me. And this is going on and on and on. And I could see Joe's face just getting kind of perturbed. And finally Joe says, well, I was in the Eagles. And he said, yeah, and I left. It's like, there's nothing else that can happen here. I just made Joe try to defend his own celebrity to the kid who is delivering his food. Like, I was in the Eagles. So, yeah. So now we have two Joe Walsh stories that we can throw around.
Some really good ones.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
Funny.
You know, we should take some questions because I don't want to keep you too long. You must have something else you're booked doing today.
You know, I got it. What I'm doing is I'm moving out of my office, sadly, in Burbank, you know, just because there's no longer a point.
Oh, you had an office there?
I did, because I was living far away from Burbank, and my life was in Burbank. And so it was, you know, the Voice Caster was where I would do a lot of VO and Go. Auditions that I could. I love that place. That's the best. But I would need to have a place to be in between things. Yeah. Instead of sitting in a car or a coffee shop or a bar.
Right.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's like, let me just work, you know.
Yeah. You don't want to show up after having like four double martinis at the bar, at the airport lounge in Burbank. And then they show up. Hulk's going to sound a little different today. Yeah.
Let's make sure you got what I was saying for his line. Please don't tell me how to say it.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay. Roar.
Oh, God, we did.
Wait, is that the direction or is that the line? Roar. Roar.
I worked on a very ridiculous, funny, scary movie called Zombievers. And the director is brilliant. And he goes like this. We actually fooled his girlfriend, which is awful. Because in this booth they had a fake Jack Daniels, like a big bottle, and I used to joke about being just let it run, and he said, "Can you do me a favor? Can you, can you be that guy when she shows up?" And we filmed it. I gotta find it. We filmed it, and it was such a funny study because he's like telling her, "Man, this has been a really difficult session, and just take it easy with him." He's like, "Oh, okay." And then as he comes in, I'm like yelling at the engineer, "Ricky, make sure don't stop the tape." He's like, "My name's Alex. I don't fucking care. Do the thing, you know." And she was terrified. And then I turn around, I go, "You're cute. Hey," you know. And he's like, and she did the thing where you're looking and go, "Hi," you know, like you know, like really. I'm just having to say to your husband or whatever. He's a fucking horrible director. Let's take it from the top and let me just do it, you know. And I was doing this whole thing, and she was just mortified. And I got out of the thing, and I said, "Hi, I'm Fred," you know. And she's like, "That wasn't." Oh no! I think we posted it somewhere. Probably lost work for it.
There's a somewhere out there. I have not heard it more than once, but somewhere out there is audio of Gary Busey and doing voiceover, and there are outtakes where he's hitting on the female production assistant or engineer, and it's like, "You and me, you know, we we got to get together, and talk about things. I open your mind up, and it just this weird pseudo spiritual, shaman in the middle of the desert coming on to some poor production assistant. Just,
you would not understand because you're not a warrior.
Yeah, I want to tell you something. Gary and his acronyms. Hey, you know what Bible stands for? Stands for basic instructions before leaving Earth. Yeah.
I love that so much.
Yeah.
And he's another one that the reason, like, I think that guy, I love watching him in movies. I think he's...
In anything.
I just love him. And he's another reason you'll have ADR. So you'll bring someone like you or me in. Yeah. I had to do replacement for him because he wouldn't say the line like that they wanted him to say, but it would be like, I had a background as a baseball player, and it's like, no, and that wasn't the line. That's the director wanted that line, but he would say, like, I used to play tennis. Like, no, just baseball. Can you make it baseball? And he would not. There were so many takes of like, ping pong. I mean, it was like, it was like every other sport. And director's like, can you just say baseball for me?
Nah, man, that just ain't my truth right now. Baseball just ain't gonna be it. Yeah. Good. Nolan said that.
I was a backgammon champion. Yeah.
Nolan said when he would do stuff for Walken, he would see the outtakes, and he would say, obviously, Christopher just didn't feel like doing the line that day. It's like,
okay.
I'm not an actor today, boys. Okay, the line is she's gone. Okay, she's gone. She's dead. Like, no, she's not. The character's not actually dead. So you have to say she's gone. Okay. She's dead. Just won't say
what?
Yeah, she's dead. It's like, no, she's gone. She's not here. She's gone. Okay. She's dead.
Now, what do you think that is? Now, this is a very smart guy, an actor who I completely respect, and I have met too, and I think he's fantastic. What do you think that is that day? And you're like, what do you think it is? Like, is he just deciding? I'm not talking about Chris Walken in particular.
Just in general,
that kind of thing happens. Is it? Are we trying to take the piss out of the director? Are we
maybe
fun?
There is some point where Mary McGlynn told me, as a director, you have to have the confidence of your actor and their trust, and if you don't have that, or if you have somehow pissed them off, and if they have enough clout, then they're going to dismiss you. And I don't know if this was the case. I think he might have just been fucking around, and maybe he knew we're going to get it tomorrow, but I just want to leave, and I don't feel like getting it today. And just, they ended up saying, okay, well, we're going to have to do scratch because we'll have to come back to this sometime later in the production. I don't even know.
Okay.
I don't even know. But
I'm always curious.
Because Mary said if you lose the actor, you were going to get pushed to the edge of the raft, and you were just hanging on for dear life at that point.
I've heard the story.
For dear life, yeah.
I've heard nightmares, yeah.
Yeah, and so, when you have an actor like that, because I've heard the stories, too, that so-and-so's not coming out of their trailer, and I'm thinking, how do you reach that point? I mean, there was a story. Nolan told me this story. He heard it. It was about Michael Bay. And Michael Bay
is legendary.
Yeah, Michael Bay apparently had kept Sean Connery waiting. And you don't keep Sean Connery waiting. The man does not suffer fools well. No. So I guess Bay is busy setting up a shot, and he kept it waiting so long that I guess when Connery shows up, Connery just punched him. And just, like that. And so, but they finished the movie. And at some point later on, this might be weeks, months later, who knows, Bay is out on the town with a friend of his that he's trying to impress, I guess. And they're at a restaurant, and they see Connery. Connery's eating, just eating, doing his thing. And Bay, I guess, maybe was coked up or something. I don't know. He just comes over. Sean, hey, it's Michael. Hey, here's my friend. Sean, tell him what a great director I am. Tell him what a great director I am. And the story is Connery looked up and went, "You're a terrible director." It just goes back to his meal. I love that. You're a terrible director.
Oh, that's funny.
I'll have more new potatoes, please.
Yes.
Yeah.
Scott, meat, please.
Yes. I'll have another one of these with some actual alcohol in it, boy. Are you still here? I don't know about the rest of that, but yeah.
All the
So,
great Connery
yes.
stories.
Yes, a lot of stories. But
I know we have people asking questions. Let's get back.
let's have questions. Okay,
I'm
somebody.
sorry for rambling.
Ugloff has a question for Fred. My kids love the Storybots, and your character is my favorite. Second is Boop. What kind of headspace do you get into for Bang, and how did his voice come to be? How cool is it to work with such an eclectic cast? That's like 5 questions, but take them as you can.
It is, and by the way, Ask the Storybots is one that I'm so proud of as a children's story. We are just, and the Emmys are happening regularly. I mean, they really are doing well. It's good for the adults and the kids because they really do cover a lot of information, and they don't speak down to anybody. I mean, they don't. It's not like pedantic. It's very like, I didn't realize that's how stars were made or planets were. It's so it's, and that is an ensemble cast. It's like our Sesame Street. It is in I had auditioned. Well, again, how did I come about it? It was auditions as usual. Auditions, and I got it. Then it was one of those weird stories where someone had recommended me, and I went in and I did the audition. I got it. I got a call back. I couldn't make the last call back because I was out of town, and they needed it. And then they got somebody else to do it for a little bit, and that did not work out. And because that's right. I had gotten it, and they said, "Well, we'll go to the other guy." And then he got it, and I thought he sounded again amazing. It's like it was great, but it was a personality. I think there was personality conflicts, and then they said, "Well, why don't we get the guy that we,
originally wanted?"
Which I was like, "Why didn't that happen before?" But you don't know. There's so many things that you don't know why they happen or they don't happen.
Right.
And that's the story I was told. Then they are just. I was a Jib Jab fan since they started. I was God. I was that was my first downloaded animation. No joke. So it was really a big deal for me to show up at this place. And these guys are brilliant in every respect. And so I basically for Bang, man, he's definitely, we wanted to go. It almost sounds like that George Carlin hippie guy. It's like
the hippy dippy weatherman.
We wanted to not go stoner because it's kids, but it's kind of still groovy, man.
Yeah.
And it's a tone that we didn't. And then the other guy who did it was great. Like he had done that too. And it was just basically trying to get that sort of vibe that didn't exist with the other characters. We needed kind of an earthy sort of like, wow, man, that's cosmic, and so that's how it sort of came about. We kind of started shaping it and trying to come about like and that, by the way, that whole thing I just told you, that's a friend of mine that happened to, and the guy who was it, and that's an example of like how you flip-flop sometimes with characters, and sometimes it's a good fit. Sometimes it isn't. You can be brilliant, and sometimes the fit doesn't work, and it's happened to me on the other side. In fact, almost simultaneously at the same time. I like gained a character and lost one. But it was so back to Bang is like real. I was thinking, I grew up a lot of my life in Topanga Canyon and Venice Beach, and that guy, I don't know why, but that guy's like, I always wonder, where did that voice come from? I even asked like my Topanga friends, like, why are there certain guys, man? And I think it was the Wild West. Like it started.
Could be.
One of my friends goes, I think it's just idiocy. No, it's like, it just like, you know what I'm saying, man? And so we kind of were playing in this, and just the range was to get him not to be dumb, but innocent and peaceful, and like he's blue. And so we wanted something that would be very accessible for kids. And this guy very much lives in me, very much like I kind of am this guy at my core. So it was kind of like what I grew up with. That's what it came from, or at least the voice that I was inspired by, California, NorCal even. But so kind of a hippie, kind of surfer vibe. But he's just always a peacenik, and that was like, because it contrasts with the other characters. They're much more sharp. They all got different colors and flavors to their own thing. So sometimes when you have an ensemble, you're just trying to find like, where's the tonality that's missing, or that's missing, that isn't like the other thing, you know? And it's great too, because he can ask like, how does the phone work, man? You know what? Like, so wait, I'm talking to other people, you know, like, okay, so a phone number is, you know, a set of digits that reach this and that and the other thing. And then you can kind of get into like the excitement of the find.
Gotcha.
So he's still like, he's mellow, but he's very excitable. What was the other question? It was
well, what's it like to perform with that kind of ensemble cast, to record with them?
It's exactly the dream. I'm not kidding you. This is like working on Sesame Street or the Muppets or you name your thing. This is, you know, it's so funny. There's so much, Aaron Fitzgerald, a bunch of everybody else that you know, Jim Meskimen. He's one of the reasons I actually got noticed. I think he mentioned me and said, you got to listen to this guy again. It's kind of the dream. And the way we do it there is a little different, because they're animators and puppeteers that are running this thing. So it's a little less quick the way we normally do a show. So our table read is our first record. Okay. Then we take notes. Then we do a whole entire second record, you know, and we're constantly, and then we do pickups all in the same day. Like it's all, you know, it's about a 3-rounder, you know, and you're usually working all day, or half day. Okay. But what we look at each other, we go, this is the dream, because not only is it a cool show with cool music and it combines animation with live action and puppet animation and puppetry. It's like they didn't decide on one medium. They just kind of mixed it all up. And you're doing something that you feel so good about, like you can stand by.
Yes.
That it's like, this is stuff I want kids to learn stuff and parents to enjoy, and it will actually be good 10 years from now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? 20 years from now. So those are things that we really, so I would say Ask the Storybots is kind of an ideal show. It's the dream you want to have if you're a voice actor wanting to do kid shows. Yeah.
Before I take the next question, I'm going to step into the lavatory, because we've been talking for a while. We have a couple other questions we'll take, and then we'll turn you loose too, if you know, and you got stuff to do.
Well, why don't you want to go take the break, or she asked the question and I think about it?
Well, I thought it would be fun for you to just do whatever random voice you feel like doing while I'm gone. It'd just be a couple of minutes, not to put you on the spot, you know. But,
not at all.
You could answer. You could answer the question too. I just thought it would be fun to leave you.
We'll do both.
I'll leave you unattended. But the question will be, Excel Gores is asking. First of all, I really love Soldier 76. He's my favorite character.
Thank you, sir.
I really want to thank you for giving voice to our gay dad. His voice is one of my favorite parts of him. Anyway, question: do you plan on going to any events after the whole Corona thing calms down? I would love to meet you. Austin.
Okay.
His name. Okay, so think about the question, and then while I'm gone for not long, you do whatever random voice or noise.
We're gonna go nuts.
Okay, have fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen.
The rest of you behave.
Chris Edgerly, The Edge. Thank you so much. This is so good. He's peeing. All right, he's peeing now, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's a lot to think about. So, hey, thank you. I really appreciate the question and the comment. First of all, Overwatch. Wow, what an experience that has been. But I'll wait for a lot. We just want to make sure that all the audio is working properly in the studio. And I want audio is working properly. Audio is working properly in the studio. Audio is working properly in the studio. Technology, ladies and gentlemen. Soldier 76 reporting for duty. We got to get that payload. Yeah, Jack Morrison, probably one of my favorite heroes to play. I am so lucky that I got a chance to do this. That was one of those where I got to audition because our director, Andrea Torres, actually had recommended me. I'd played a lot of stuff for Blizzard. I was Zeratul, StarCraft, and a few other things, a lot of things for World of Warcraft. And she knew me really well. We're old friends. We go back a long way. And so she said, this character, and this is before we knew anything really about him. It was more about his sensibility of like almost being a coach. He's a real military guy, and he really cares about his team and his crew. And he's more akin to a Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge. You know, he's like that kind of guy. We're talking about there we go. Talking about Soldier 76, and I did a little bit of an audio craziness while you were gone, but
I'll look at it later. It should be fun.
Sorry, I'm using that too much. We're talking about Jack Morrison on Overwatch.
Gotcha.
Soldier 76 reporting for duty. And I was just talking about Andrea, Torres, who actually knew we were old friends from the Vivendi days, like way back when she was an engineer. And did you ever work for Vivendi back?
Yeah, I did. I did the occasional game for them. I did.
Yeah, she was there. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah, I've done a few things for them.
Yeah, and
out by the airport.
Yeah, out by the airport. Anyway, she was there, and she's known me. She said, "This is a character you have to audition for because I really think his personality is very much the way you are. He's a soldier, but I was saying he's much more akin to like Clint Eastwood in Heartbreak Ridge. Like, he really tough, but he really cares about his team, and
right.
It's everything to like keep everybody safe, And we had to dial the voice in. Before, we were really just thinking of him as a high-powered soldier who's like the tough coach. We weren't thinking. The dad memes came out later. Overwatch is one of the few games where, Michael Chu writes these amazing stories, okay? But so much is driven by fans. Because if it's a fan is like, I like Zenyatta, or I like whoever, I want to see this, that, and the other thing, they'll call attention to it and like write something, or they'll be part of that story. Will come up, we'll develop. And Soldier 76 was one of those guys who was, betrayed, and his team was betrayed, and now he's trying to figure out what happened, and he became this father figure. So the dad memes came out. Then we started doing like, oh, well, we'll have him wear a chef's, outfit for Father's Day, or like they're really bizarre things that you would put in this game, and it kind of works for him. And then in the story, the dad thing became really the main focus of just like, because one of his lines is, "I'm not your daddy," and of course he is. So I sign like Dad 76 to everything, because he's always trying to like teach, protect, make sure things are in line, how to restore the order, and he is really at this point rogue and trying to help the helpless, basically, and get his team back together. That's really what he's trying to do. But you find out, though, and he has a whole backstory. Then not too long ago, you find out that he actually has a relationship with this other guy.
Oh yeah,
Philip. Yeah, Vincent. Sorry, and so he becomes. That became a thing, but for him, the tragedy or the funny part, it's not really funny. He can't really have love because he's always on the move. So whether it was a man or a woman is really inconsequential to him. I think he's just like, it's just whatever, kind of worked out. And he is pretty just amazing. And what I love, this was really interesting, discovering his sexuality, or his bisexuality, really, like what it really didn't change anything about him. Like, I'm really glad that in a way I didn't know,
Yeah.
When I started, because so often we play like a thing, this is a big topic, and it was so cool to find out like, and it doesn't change any way I play him now.
Yeah.
Like it's just like, that's just what, it's all about relationships. And
Right.
it was all about like the bigger elephant in the room isn't first of all, I was so proud and happy that got represented and got represented by an older, white guy soldier who's the last guy you would have expected.
Yeah.
And how cool. And so I embraced it. I was like, this is just awesome. And it works for him. And what's funny too is that, like, again, the big elephant in the room is the fact is like, it can't work out no matter what for him. You know what I mean? It's not about the fact that he would be with someone like that. It's the fact that, like, no, it's his life is onward and moving, and as progressive and whatever as he is, it's sort of doomed, in some ways.
Yeah. Well, I suppose their point was that would you have unconsciously played him different if you knew that there was this facet to him? And I guess they just didn't want that, because they wanted you to just play the person, don't play the sexuality. Yeah. Because exactly. It's not really an integral part of who they are in any more than it would be for anyone else. So
plus I think he would be with both. Personally, I think he have a backstory where he did have a family, and you know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Like, I think, but I don't think he it doesn't, what I love is that it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? It matters. The embracing the community and all that, yes, that matters. That's important. But I'm saying, you find out that, like, no, he's a hero, and he found true love for like a minute. He found true love in a very wartime romance, for lack of a better word. You know what I mean? Like a real, and so to me, I would like to think I wouldn't have changed him that much, because that's not what his character was called to do.
Right.
There was no interaction like that, but I wouldn't, I don't think I would like to think I wouldn't, but it makes him so much more interesting.
Yeah.
It makes him so much cooler and so much more interesting. And it explains what a big heart he has too. Like actually he is embracing all of humanity now. Yeah. And it's like, I applaud it. So how does it feel to be the world's one of the world's popular gay dads? Thrilled, out of my mind, thrilled. This character has brought me all over the world. I mean, seriously, he is. I am happy to be, running around, his boots any day, because he's really, he. What I really love is the embracement of that. Not only the LGBTQ, community, but also let's talk about soldiers. Like, to me, what I was representing too is the fact is that, he's really representing a lot of just military soldiers and dispossessed soldiers who really gave their time and did something. And then I can't tell you how many times soldiers who do it for real are like thanking me. And I'm just like, no, guys, you're doing this for real. I am. I want to thank you. You know what I mean? So it just was another opportunity to embrace like huge things. And so, I love the stories, and Overwatch is it has offered so much to so many people, and it's thrilled. Yes. Two things. Love to meet you. Yes, I would. I get your info, or I don't know if Ed, you got.
Well, when this Corona thing,
I would definitely love to meet up with you, and also, would I go to events again? You bet I would. But boy, oh boy,
it's gonna be a while.
Think about a convention. I love doing the conventions, and then you think about, like, okay, you're in an enclosed space with 1 million people shaking hands and talking. It's like, it was like all the things. I mean, fortunately, people are wearing masks. Maybe not the right kind of masks,
right?
But it's like there's just not a whole lot, and I feel terrible.
Yeah, it's one of the last things that's going to come back.
God.
So
now we're doing Zoom. We're doing We're doing Zoom shows, concerts, which I love because we can do them.
Yeah.
I did a Star Trek one that I love. Lower Decks is this show we
Nice.
just launched. I'm so excited.
That's great.
But you know, I loved it. We did a thing like this. We did an interview, and it did really well. But signings now, people are doing remotely. You know, which I'm just learning about. But, and you can still raise money for charities. That's really huge, and that's a big part of doing these things. It's like putting, you know, the celebrity, but like, you know, the art to work and actually doing something. So in answer to all those questions, yes, I would love to go back and do something. I just don't know when. It's not going to be for a while, but definitely love to meet any of you. Definitely.
Right. Is there a place where people can find you? You're on Twitter, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Twitter. I got to get better. I'm just going to try to, this week I need to get Instagram.
I did Instagram, and then I got off Facebook too.
Really?
I do Twitter, I do YouTube because I post videos on YouTube,
I want to do YouTube,
and I Twitch stream.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
So
you do Twitch stream. Okay. I got to learn all that stuff. But yeah, Twitter, Facebook. I'm on the Facebooks. Just my name, you know, Fred Tatasciore.
Yeah.
But I definitely need to step up the game of social media. Not because of like, oh, I got to get, you know, famous or anything. I think it's I think it's great stuff. I just haven't really engaged in it the way I should.
There's a right way to do it. Yeah, there's a way to do it to sidestep a lot of the landmines that are there, because for the most part, it's super cool. I've met great people doing this, and there are only a few times where there's somebody toxic that comes into the chat and tries to make it worse. I have a pretty chill chat, so it doesn't really happen that way for me. And yeah, in the games themselves, it depends on the game. You know, some games attract more aggressive players than others, depending on the subject matter.
Sure.
But for the most part, the online world is very, very supportive of what we do and what the great developers and engineers and directors and writers and producers do. So yeah, it's a good world. It's a good world to be in. It takes a little navigating, a little bit. So
yeah, I think the problem is I'm not good at it, and I'm trying to be better at it. It's not, it's not one of those things I know how to do. Like Tara Strong was great. She was like, you got to get on Twitter. You got to get on. She just forced it on me. Like when we were in a rating room at Out Loud or whatever, she's like, let's do this. And I was really happy she did that. You know,
good.
And like got me back on it. But I gotta figure it out more.
All right.
Yeah.
Give it time. We'll take one more question, and then we'll turn it loose, because we're coming up on 3 hours here. This is I think you've got the record. The record.
Well, we talked. We haven't caught up in a while. As the other thing. Too.
It has been a while. Yeah.
We are actually old buds.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of personal stuff. So
yeah. Yeah. Well, here's one from Eric Tyler, frequent viewer on the stream.
Wow.
Quick question. Fred had mentioned finding inspiration from Paul Frees. I was wondering if Fred had ever done a stand-in for his voice in the parks. As a huge Haunted Mansion fan, I was curious because his voice was spot on for Frees.
You know what? I really appreciate that, my friend. I'm afraid Corey Burton, my dear friend, has taken it. Like, I think, you know, it's so funny. Certain voices are so hard. They're hard nuts to crack because either they're coveted or they've been covered. You know, and so you know, when the pirate ride didn't happen, I was like, because that's like honestly one of my best impressions, and I was like, if I can't get a Paul Frees gig, I don't know, you know.
I know.
You know, I was like, you know, and so I would, if someone asked me to do it, as long as I'm not stepping on toes, I would do it in a heartbeat, because he's one of my favorites, you know. All the way, you know, Haunted Mansion to Boris and Natasha to, you know, name it. He just goes on and so recognizable. And I, you know, really begged and borrowed from him a lot. Mixed him with Orson Welles and did, what was it? Emperor on Planet Sheen. Was very much that way. You know, like, oh, Sheen, well, you know, like, and, it's one of those voices that's fun to have in the wheelhouse, and again, love to do it anytime. But, until then, I'll probably just be doing it on my own.
Well, a lot of people don't realize unless you have a really distinctive voice, a lot of the voices we do, even when we create them, we're blending voices that we already know. That's true. This is a very common thing to happen. You just simply blend. I love that person. I love that person. I'll make it up, but it's
you're doing a spice rack.
Yeah, exactly. You're just putting it all together.
Boxes of guitar sounds. Yeah. You're like, I want the reverb of that. That's how you create a voice sometimes. I want that walk-in rhythm or whatever, but I can't use this tone. I want to use that. And so a lot of times you'll be doing an amalgamation of things. And so, in that case, it's something I'll have in my wheelhouse. And hopefully...
Yep.
It's fun to hear the outtakes of The Haunted. It's so fun to hear his like, let's try it again.
Gotcha.
Welcome, foolish. No, I like that one. It's more scary.
Well, we do have. I will try and honor this. We'll see. If it's possible, Toxic CX454 is asking if you could do Nicola from Call of Duty Zombies. He grew up with the game.
Listen. What is your name? Toxic what now?
Toxic X454.
Toxic X454. I am loving you for this, Toxic, but my toxicity is my vodka. Where I want to know what you do with my vodka. Did you give it to the monkey? What'd you do? Because I am loving this. Nikolai is another soldier. I'd love to see him in Soldier 76. What is 76? Name of your, year of your car? What? You're actually a very good fighter, Nikolai. Yeah, you're a very good fighter and excellent shot. You might want to lay off the sauce, though. Please don't tell me how to do these things. See, it's there.
There it is. There it is. We used to do this a lot more. I would riff with the other actors I would have on, but and I would have a lot of the other Apex Legends actors on because that's kind of what a lot of people drop by this stream because of that game. And right now we've backed off of that because EA is saying, let's create some rules of conduct for the voices so we don't inadvertently damage the property by having them say things they would normally say.
Yeah, like having Donald cuss or having, I know.
Like the way we've trashed the entire Disney pantheon.
And it's so sad because I just love Disney. It's true. But it's true with those things. Yeah, the Overwatch, I know that sometimes they want to be careful of how you represent and where you go and what your interview is. Call of Duty was the same thing. It's very fun to do Nikolai. I miss it because they had to do drunk Nikolai and then serious Nikolai.
I've found that if I'm asked to do a Russian audition, I have two characters that I focus on to start with. They're both actors. One was from the movie 2010, one of the Russian cosmonauts.
Yes.
He has a very slow, sleepy sort of voice, and the data is correct. We will do this that way, yes.
That's really good.
So I start with him, and then the other one, I can't remember the actor's name. He was in Snatch. He was in Eyes Wide Shut. He was the bad guy in The Saint. He's always talking like this. He's always scratching his beard or his head. He has silver long hair and a beard, and he's always bad guy. And you know what I mean. So I go with those. Voice for you. Yeah, I go with those two extremes, and I don't know
that was you.
Yeah,
that's really great because sometimes we can recognize each other.
But I'm doing impressions of people I see on screen, and they're not celebrities. But that's what you do. You start with something that you see. Because I don't have many Russian friends. I have a couple that are Russian, but their accents are almost gone,
Oh, really? Yeah, that's another thing, too. It really helps knowing people, different dialects. I tell you, that's got me through so much. And I'm sure you have to go through this all the time where people say, hey, give me a Southern voice. And you're like, okay.
Yeah, which one? I mean, there's about 80 of them. Yeah.
And I would have Russian friend, I would have to sign off sometimes with certain actors like, J.B. Blanc or whatever, say, is this convincing what I'm doing? And I've had Russian friends say things like, why do they always have us say the thing? We don't use those. We don't say I go to store. I don't say I'm going to the store. Yeah. I say I'm going to store. That's actually okay to say in Russian. There's not and you can reverse it too. Like the store I'm going, like it's okay to do that. English is tough because the order of what you say matters.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like in a certain way. And so, and thes and these and the a, that gets dropped. So then I'll start incorporating it into the character, and then Greg, we'll have the script for Call of Duty, and I'll say, can I drop the in this take? Can I drop all this? And it works, and people are amenable to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you learn, but you never stop learning. It helps if you have people that you're like, okay, give me a real good, Louisiana, or give me some Boston or something.
Yeah. See, we never stop learning. We never
true.
stop.
We never stop.
Well, speaking of never stopping,
I know,
but actually stopping,
it was such a joy. Thank you.
This is great. I didn't. About an hour and a half ago, I thought, I wonder if I should get to the questions. No, there's some stories I want to share. I want to share some stories. And then it's been an hour and a half later, and I'm thinking, okay, I think probably, because we could keep going. But,
of course we could.
Yeah, of course we could.
Tune in. I'll call you later tonight, and we'll get call everybody
exactly.
out.
Yeah, exactly.
Enforce the Zoom.
Everybody, please say thank you to Fred for dropping by, because this is a very busy man. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.